we start the new year with prayer. Who will be praying with us, who will lead us, just like you. Thank you. Who needs no introduction. I won't go much on his resume here, because if we discuss this, it will take us the whole day. So I would just like Dr. Navarro to be remembered as a kind, loving, God-fearing, and a great servant of God. He took up his college and finished medicine in 1972 as a scholar in Far Eastern University, and was board certified in 1970. These honors and awards are written and presented in the symposium, and since he needs no further introduction, I would like to present him now. Dr. Navarro.
Introduction. Thanks also for the inspired prayer, Dr. Titi. And the board of directors of the Philippine College for Advanced Medicine, guests from other places and from abroad, and also one of the speakers last time, Dr. Kelly, for their paper, and also other guests from other parts of the country and the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Last Sunday I lectured about saturated fat and cholesterol, but I wasn't able to finish the topic. Who were present last Sunday? Please raise your hands. Who were not present? Okay. For the sake of those who were not present, do we repeat a little? And for the sake of those who were present, God's way is repetition. The Lord's way is repetition so that it will stick to your mind and you will never forget that. And by the way, I wasn't able to finish the talk, and that was only 3/4 maybe, and it's very important that you see the whole paper. I also thank my son, Dr. John London, for a very enlightening thing that he presented this morning, and of course with the help of Dr. Beth, the wife, and of course my wife here, has done a great deal on this work. Okay. Busting the myth about saturated fats. Can you start at the beginning? It's very fast. Everybody believes that saturated fat and cholesterol is bad, right? Yes, right. So it will be a total turnaround here. Okay. You start from the beginning, then we do it very fast. I have to present this first because my topic is about milk and honey, and the cream of the milk is saturated fat. So I have to defend that first before I can present you the milk and honey. So very fast. Deuteronomy 11 verse 8 to 9, the Lord said, so that you may live long in the land that I am going to give you to possess, a land flowing with milk and honey. And the people drank milk and they ate honey, and they lived for how long? 900 years. So if you like to live 900 years, you drink milk and honey. Longevity is granted with milk and honey. Okay, I'll explain that next slide. Next slide. Okay, next slide. According to Mahatma Gandhi, many people, especially ignorant, many people, especially ignorant people, want to punish you for speaking the truth. And I suffered several times already for speaking the truth. I almost lost my license twice already. For being correct, for being you. Never apologize for being correct or for being years ahead of your time. Since 1998, I've espoused this already after I read in the Bible that milk is good. And honey, never apologize for being correct or for being years ahead of your time. If you're right and you know it, speak your mind. Even if you are a minority of one, if you are the only one speaking the truth throughout the world, speak it. The truth is still the truth. Because behind me is the way, the truth, and the life.
Amen.
Next slide. This is the life with the hypothesis. That's why everybody believes that cholesterol and saturated fat are wrong. Says it's a bad diet. Bad, quote unquote, with too much saturated fat. Because too much saturated fat will lead to high cholesterol. That's wrong. And high cholesterol will lead to atherosclerosis, build up plaque in the arteries. That's wrong again. Consumption of animal fats causes heart disease, coronary arteries. That's still wrong. And you will see why. Next slide. The life, it is a hypothesis. It's not a fact yet. No? It's a fact, theory. The theory called the lipid hypothesis states that there is a direct relationship between the amount of saturated fat and cholesterol in the diet and the incidence of coronary heart disease. The proponent proposed by researcher named Ansel Key. He's not a doctor. He's a doctor, PhD, but not a doctor of medicine in the late 1950s. The most well-known advocate of this low-fat diet was Nathan Pritikin. Have you heard about Nathan Pritikin? Right, for losing weight. Okay. Next slide. Let's see what happened to these people who proposed this. Ansel Kidder is an American scientist, as I said. Okay, he did a 7 counties, first 6 county studies, would culminate in the 7 county studies in the 1950s, whereby he studied 22 countries, but only presented 6 countries, and that's what we call cherry picking. You only choose what you want. Okay? That's why everybody believes him. Next slide. Look at what will be the effect of the low-fat, low-cholesterol diet. The more you will become obese. So the result of low-fat is my low-fat diet really works. The fat counts lower every day. Okay. Everybody becomes obese because of what? The pyramid diet, you take a lot of sugar, the sugar converts into fats. And sugar converts into fats that clogs the blood vessel because of the insulin effect. Next slide. Nathan Pritikin espoused this, okay, advocated low-fat, high-fiber. When he was 41 years old, okay, he was found with problem with the heart, with 300 milligram cholesterol, okay, and he had also problem with the skin, had radiation treatment, and he contracted leukemia. Whenever you lower your cholesterol, you become depressed and you commit suicide. The highest incidence of suicide throughout the world is among doctors. 400 doctors commit suicide because of cholesterol lowering. And what happened to him? He developed complications including kidney failure and serious liver damage, which are very easy to manage. Rather than depending on life support system, Pritikin chose to end his own life by committing suicide. He was very depressed. Types of fats, saturated, okay? Animal fat, milk, eggs, butter, cheese, lard, which is pork fat, tallow, beef and lamb fat. Tropical oils, coconut and palm oil. If I read very fast, repetition naman to eh. Monounsaturated olive oil, polyunsaturated omega-6, vegetable oils, soybeans, sunflower, corn, cottonseed, peanut, canola. That's very popular now. And omega-3 fish oils, eicosapentaenoic pentaenoic acid EPA, docosahexaenoic acid DSA, and trans fat. Trans fat is now a killer. Everybody knows. That's why you see in the market no trans fat. That was introduced by the American Heart Association. Margarine in bakery products, snap chips, imitation cheese, and other processed. So here are the fatty acids saturated. You have their stearic acid, 18 carbonato. Palmitic acid, 16 carbonato. Myristic, 14 lauric acid, 12 carbon atom. Okay? And saturated with double bond, monounsaturated 1 double bond, oleic acid, polyunsaturated N6, okay, linoleic and arachidonic acid. This is with 2 double bond, and this one is 4 to 5 double bond, and this one linoleic acid, 3 double bond, and the rest EPA and NDSA. Next slide. So, let's look at the fatty acids. What is their role in our health? Okay, we have what we call short chain fatty acids. They are still saturated. All of these are saturated, found in milk. Okay, short chain fatty acids also contribute to the health of the immune system. Propionic is very powerful anti-cancer. Where do you get that? From milk. Butyric acid, antibacteria, antivirus, anti-cancer. It kills Hep B, it kills HIV, it kills cholera, it kills cancer. And they said it's bad because of cholesterol issue. Are you picking up the error of the earlier science? Medium chain fatty acids have 8 to 12 carbon atoms and are found mostly in butter, fat, and the tropical oils. Tropical oils are palm oils and coconut oil. They have antimicrobial properties, are absorbed directly for quick energy and contribute to the health of the immune system. Caprylic acid, 8 carbon, antivirus, and delays tumor growth, antiviral. Anti-cancer. Capric acid, antivirus. You know that, H1N2. Everybody is afraid of viruses, when in fact, just drinking milk, you will be healthy forever. You don't get sick. Lauric acid, 12 carbon, antivirus and antibacterial. That's the pharmacological effects of lipids. Okay? Long chain fatty acids have 14 to 18 carbon and can be either saturated, monounsaturated, or polyunsaturated. Myristic acid is a 14 carbon saturated fatty acid found in dairy fats and coconut oil. Both are antiviral and antibacterial. Stearic acid is an 18 carbon saturated fat found chiefly in beet and mutton tallows. Energy, this is the best energy for the heart. If you cannot energize the heart, you get what? Heart failure. So we are being bombarded with so many heart failure because we don't give them saturated fats. They cannot get much energy from polyunsaturated. Okay. Palmitoleic acid, this is a 16 carbon monounsaturated, 1 double bond, and which has strong antimicrobial properties. It is found almost exclusively in animal fats. Very powerful antibacterial. The answers from, okay, next slide. Okay, this is the chemical structure of fats. If fats are saturated, there is no double bond over there. There is a chain of hydrocarbons with the carboxyl group. No double bond, but this one is unsaturated. If 1 double bond, it's called monounsaturated, like oleic acid. If 2 double bonds, you get linoleic acid. If 3 double bonds, you get linoleic acid. Top 10 causes of death in 1900. All infectious diseases, no degenerative diseases. Look at this. Pneumonia, tuberculosis, the area, all infectious diseases. Right now, because they lowered, because they've been protected by saturated fat and cholesterol. But since they got rid of saturated fat and cholesterol, degenerative diseases increased, and now the killers are heart disease number 1, cancer number 2, stroke, chronic lung disease. That's COPD. Okay, next slide. In the 1900s, let's look at the American diet. At least American diet consists of 35 to 40% of calories from fats. 35 to 40. Now they recommend 7% only. So, okay. In the form of butter, cream, whole milk, and also eggs. Salad dressing recipes usually call for egg yolks, cream, and only occasionally for olive oil. Lard or tallow were used for frying. Mga tabayan, okay? Rich dishes like cheese and scrapple from scrap meat contributed additional saturated fats during an era when cancer and heart disease were very, very rare. but their substitute made up only a small portion of the American diet. And these margarines were blended from coconut oil, animal tallow, and lard, all rich in natural saturated fats. However, in 1911, Procter & Gamble introduced Crisco, crystallized cottonseed oil, and they said Crisco is better than butter for cooking. And everybody was made to believe that. What is Crisco? The first commercially marketed trans fat. Originally used to make what? Candles and soaps. Sales of candles declined due to electrification, so Procter & Gamble was forced to promote this old vegetable-derived shortening. And they said this is the healthiest alternative for cooking and baking, replacing lard and tropical oils. So you use that for making candles. So if you take that oil, you will end up with candles. Okay. In 1930, Nikolai Aniskov, a Russian scientist, made a study of rabbits. The rabbits are what you call, they don't eat meat, they only eat vegetables, okay? Herbivore rabbits, they gave them cholesterol. Cholesterol is an animal food. So the rabbits cannot digest this. They don't have the enzymes to digest cholesterol. The result, it clogged up their blood vessels, this like before. And the result is feeding cholesterol to rabbits causes atherosclerosis. And the cholesterol that they give is already even spoiled already. Whether it's spoiled or not, it will be rejected. And it clogged the vessel. But if you give that to omnivores like dogs and rats, they never get sick. They never get clogged blood vessels. Even to us, cholesterol will not clog our blood vessels. Next slide. What's the cause of this wrong teaching? In 1953, Ansel Keith presented his 22-country study. But he showed only 6 countries, and the result is, for him it's excellent. If you increase your intake, your calories from fats, the result is there will be an increase in cardiovascular diseases. But selective only. He did not present everything. Next slide. If Ansel Keith included all the other countries, the result would be very different. You look at this, these are the 6 countries. These are the rest of the countries, the result is exactly the opposite. That means, if he presented all the 10 countries, the result would be, the more fats you eat, the lower will be the incidence of cardiovascular diseases, right? And yet, only 6 countries, the American Heart Association already adopted it. Next slide. That is the Framingham Heart Studies, the town that changed America's heart. Okay, next slide. In the 1960s, the American Heart Association presented the lipid hypothesis as the cause of the heart disease epidemic, and they launched what we call the prudent diet, which is now we call pyramid diet. Okay, target dietary cholesterol should not be more than 300 milligram, and they lowered that now to 200 milligram, right? Butter, egg, cheese, and beef should be replaced with corn oil, margarine, chicken, and cold cereals. If egg is to be consumed, it should be limited to 3 eggs per week, or 1 egg a day because it contains 213 milligram of cholesterol. Next slide. So what about the test to support the study? So this is the very, very first test conducted by Dr. Jolley. It's easy to remember Dr. Jollibee, so you will never forget. Dr. Jolley. He was founded the Anti-Coronary Club in New York City, spread it, okay? They did a prudent study. Okay, the result after 6 years of the study, the serum cholesterol in the subjects living on the low-fat, low-cholesterol diet, prudent diet, had dropped to 200 milligram percent. No, that's what they want. That's their goal. While the control is 250, very high, right? Right? We were told that that will kill us. So what is the result? That is from JAMA, November 7, 1966. What the public was not told, that there had been 8 deaths from heart attack while living on the prudent diet, whereas there had been no deaths from heart attack among the controls living on the high cholesterol, high saturated fat diet. So you see, from the very first experiment, you know that is already an error. Now, read further. Besides heart attack, by the way, Dr. Jolley died on the 4th year. I'm sorry about that. Okay? total death on the prudent diet, including cancer and other conditions, is 26. Whereas total death on high cholesterol is only 6. That includes cancer, right? Next slide. Another study, prudent diet in England. At the same time, of the National Diet Study, the Medical Research Council was conducting a trial on the prudent diet on a group of patients who had survived a heart attack. These are already heart attack patients. In this trial, the soft mild drinks used in the trial in the USA were avoided. Rather, soya oil was used as the proper polyunsaturated soya oil. Again, serum cholesterol was reduced from 250% among the controls to 225 among the patients on the prudent diet. But again, there were the same number of fatal and non-fatal heart attacks among the control and among patients living the prudent diet. That is from the Lancet Journal. Nothing significant on that study. Next slide. Another is at the Veterans Administration Hospital in Los Angeles, California. Okay, the trial ran for 8 years. The result as reported in the Lancet for March 6, 1971, of the 846 participants in this trial, fatal heart attacks, deaths were reduced from 70 among the controls to 48 on the prudent diet. However, the number of deaths from cancer were almost double among the men on the prudent diet. That means if you follow low fat, low cholesterol, you are inviting cancer. Okay? Next slide. Although in 1957, the American Medical Association, AMA, at first opposed the commercialization of the lipid hypothesis and warned the anti-fat, anti-cholesterol fat is not just foolish and futile, it also carries some risk. They know you will die early. However, the American Heart Association was committed. In 1961, the AHA published its first dietary guidelines, the substitution of polyunsaturates for saturated fat. Dr. Paul W. White, who was the one who introduced ECG to America from Germany, disputed his colleagues at the American Heart Association and noted that coronary heart disease in the form of MI, myocardial infarction, was non-existent in 1900 in America. The very first case of coronary heart disease occurred only in 1911 in New York, one case. And when egg consumption was 3 times what it was in 1956 and when corn oil was unavailable. You know what is causing the plaque in the heart? Polyunsaturated fatty acid. Corn oil, canola oil, soybean oil, sunflower. But you were not made to believe that. You were told it's saturated fat and cholesterol. These are his exact words. Don't White. I began my practice as a cardiologist in 1921 and I never saw an MI patient until 1920. You see, you're a cardiologist, you have no patient for 7 years, you better change your course. Okay, useless. Okay, no patient for 7 years, so it must be very hungry. Back in the MI pre-days before 1920, the fats were butter and lard and high cholesterol food. And I think that we would all benefit from that kind of diet that we had at the time when no one had ever heard the word corn oil. Next is McGovern report in 1977 supporting Ansel case claim. But the committee of McGovern, committee of all politicians, no doctors. Okay, next slide. Center for Science, the Public Interest, in published this. Remember, the McDonald's were selling French fries, and they were using beef fat, tallow, and palm oil from 1949 in the 1980s, mid-1980s. But in 1994, the Center for Science, the Public Interest, starts coercing fast food restaurants and food companies to stop frying food with animal fats and tropical oils and instead switch to partially hydrogenated vegetable oil, or what we call trans fat. And that's why cancer zoomed, because everybody is now getting trans fat in their food. Next. Okay, you know this, right? The food pyramid, at the top of the pyramid, you can take your fats sparingly. On the base, you have you can eat as much as carbohydrates, and that will kill you. You know why? If you eat fats, it has no insulin effect. If you eat plenty of carbohydrates, insulin will be released. And insulin is a storage hormone. The insulin will promote deposition of sugar into stored sugar, glycogen, muscle glycogen, for energy, liver glycogen, for stored energy. And the excess sugar will become triglycerides to block your heart. And triglycerides to cause obesity. And that is pyramid diet. What about the fats? They have no insulin effect. So they do not promote deposition of fats in the arteries. Criticism on dietary guidelines. Dr. Paul Morans and colleagues in the January 22, 2000 online edition of the American Journal of Preventive Medicine said, the Dietary Guideline Advisory Committee suggested that the recommendation to lower fat advised in the 1955 guidelines still carried over to the 2010 guidelines had perhaps been ill-advised and might actually have some potential harm. The previous priority given to a low-fat intake may lead people to believe that as long as fat intake is low, the diet will be entirely helpful. This belief could endanger an overconsumption of total calories in the form of carbohydrates, resulting in the adverse metabolic consequences of high carbohydrate diets. So that will lead to heart attack, stroke, cancer, and so on. Next slide. Then the late Oxford professor David Orvin warned us about reducing cholesterol in the population on a large scale could lead to a general shift to more violent patterns of behavior. Most of this increased violence would not result in death, but in more aggression at work and in the family, more child abuse, more wife beating, and generally more unhappiness. When you lower the brain is mostly fats and cholesterol. You lower your fats and cholesterol, you become very violent. That's why if you don't give butter to your husband, you will end up battered wife and battered children. Remember, a father, hold, yung sa leg yung bata, iniyampas sa wall, right?
Oh, yes, that's right.
Everybody is becoming violent because of lack of butter in the brain. Next slide. The root of the confusion is that, according to Dr. Walter Willett, Harvard School for Public Health Director, said, quote, one of the problems is that strong recommendations have often been made on the very, very weak data. They may have been the best guess at the moment. So it's just guessing. The American Heart Association was just guessing. But often the recommendations are repeated so many times that people forgot they were rough guesses in the first place and come to think they are hard facts. Now, what is the result of low fat, low cholesterol? Now look at the egg consumption. It shows here that increasing egg consumption, there will be, this is the cardiovascular mortality, there will be declining cardiovascular mortality. The more eggs you eat, the more your cardiovascular disease will fall. That means, and this relationship, this was published by the International Egg Commission and the World Health Organization. It shows a significant and negative relations. Okay, the more eggs you eat, the more the heart attack will fall, the incidence will fall. Ngayon, 3 of the most highest egg-consuming countries in the world, Japan, Spain, and France, are countries with the lowest rates of cardiovascular disease mortality. In Asia, the Philippines has the lowest consumption of egg. So in Asia, the Philippines is #1 in cardiovascular disease mortality. Sa bagay, sikat naman tayo, #1. Okay. Well, you read this, written by Sinatra. The cholesterol study is up for you to conclude. Touches not only medicine and research, but also politics, economics, psychology, and sociology. The cast of characters range from the obnoxious and egotistical to the well-meaning and misguided. It has heroes and villains, mavericks and traditionalists, all engaged in battle that sadly has little to do with saving lives. What are they battling for? Not to save lives. What's that? Or battle? It involves staggering amount of money. The politics of publication, the sociology of belief, why bad ideas continue to survive past their expiry dates, and the revolving door that exists between government, advisory committee, and the industries they are supposed to police. That's the great cholesterol myth. When the National Cholesterol Education Program lowered the optimal cholesterol levels in 2004, 8 out of 9 people on the panel had financial ties to the pharmaceutical industry. And these are manufacturers of cholesterol-lowering drugs. So definitely, what will they propose? In 1966, Jeremiah Stamler, who co-authored the AHA Dietary Guidelines in 1961, wrote, "Your heart has 9 lives," introduced his version of the prudent diet, low-fat milk products like skim milk, non-fat milk, and low-fat cheese were recommended instead of cream, butter, and whole cheeses, reducing egg intake and cutting the fat of red meats. Who sponsored the study? The book was sponsored by makers of Mazola and corn oil and Mazola margarine. Okay, the dietary guidelines for Americans 2010, in this dietary guidelines, saturated fat is reduced further from 10% to 7%. Before they were taking 40% saturated, now it's already 7%. So what will happen to the people? Next slide. So here are the two, the bad fat brothers, according to them, are the saturated fat and trans fat. Ang pangalan nito, sat and trans. And the other one, the good, they say, is from poly and mon, polyunsaturated and monounsaturated. Okay, next slide. Now, what about the diets of the people with high saturated fat? Masai, Kenya, Tanzania, diet 66% saturated fat, and they are the lowest risk of heart disease. Inuit, Eskimos, 75% saturated fat. Rendil, 63% saturated fat. Tokelau, 60% saturated fat. And they don't have virtually no heart attack. And yet now they want to lower it to 7%. Okay, this is Ansel Kiss results, and he did not include Mesai, Inuit, Rendil, and Todas just to get this result. Next slide. The hunter-gatherer diet consume high amounts of animal food. They prefer the fattest parts of the animal, organs, tongue, bone marrow, brain, and the low amount of carbohydrate. And Paleolithic age, Stone Age, still mostly meat diet. Agricultural age, then carbohydrates was introduced until the Industrial Revolution. Next slide. The evidence, quote-unquote, supporting the lipid hypothesis. The experts assure us that the lipid hypothesis is backed by incontrovertible scientific proof. Most people would be surprised to learn that there is in fact very little evidence to support the contention that the diet low in cholesterol and saturated fat actually reduces death from heart disease or in any way increases one's lifespan. Before 1920, as I said, coronary disease was rare in America. The Dr. Paul Dudley White, who introduced the German ECG in the United States, had to search for patients who could benefit from this new technology. He would go to 10 hospitals. He would be very happy if he find one case of heart problem. The next 4 years, however, the incidence of coronary disease rose dramatically, so much so that by the mid-50s, heart disease was the leading cause of death among Americans. Today, heart disease causes at least 40% of all U.S. deaths. If heart disease results from the consumption of saturated fat, one would expect to find a corresponding increase in animal fat in the American diet. Actually, the reverse is true. During the 60-year period from 1910 to 1970, the proportion of traditional animal fat in the American diet declined while butter consumption plummeted from 18 pounds per person per year to 4. The Framingham study is often cited as the proof of the lipid hypothesis. So what is the result? Subjects, 6,000 people from the town of Framingham, Massachusetts. 2 groups were compared at 5 days interval. Those who consume little cholesterol and saturated fat and those who consume large amount. Result, after 40 years, we found that the people who ate the most cholesterol, ate the most saturated fat, ate the most calories, weighed the least, and were the most physically active. They were the healthiest. So it's actually the reverse of what they want to find. And yet, it is never presented to us. Next slide. In a multi-year British study involving several thousand men, half were asked to reduce saturated fat and increase cholesterol in their lives, to stop smoking, and to increase the amount of unsaturated oils such as polyunsaturated and margarine and vegetable oils. Result, after 1 year, those on the good quote-unquote diet had 100% more death, those on unsaturated oils and margarine. But the author ignored that. The author ignored this results in favor of the politically correct conclusion that is governed by politics. They said the implication for public health policy in the UK is that a preventive program such as we evaluated in this trial is probably effective in spite of 100% increase in death. Okay, next slide. Mr. Pitt study, multiple risk factor intervention trial, sponsored by the National Heart, Lung and Blood Institute in America and by the World Health Organization in Europe, and the most expensive, it cost $150 million in the 1970s. Okay, compared mortality rates and eating habits of over 12,000 men. Those with good dietary habits, quote-unquote, reduced saturated fat and cholesterol, showed a marginal reduction in total coronary heart disease, but the overall mortality from all causes was higher. Their goal is that low fat, low cholesterol will lengthen lifespan. The result, low fat, low cholesterol shorten lifespan. That is the Mr. Pitt study. Next slide. Similar results have been obtained in several other studies. The few studies that indicate a correlation between the fat reduction and decrease in coronary heart disease mortality also document a concurrent increase in deaths from what? Cancer, brain hemorrhage, suicide, and violent death. That's the end of what will happen to the people. Next slide. Now you'd like to know, comparing all the oils that we have there, you have the canola and you have the coconut oil with the most number of saturated oils, okay? That the red one is saturated, the yellow one is monounsaturated, okay? Now look at this, butter fat, look at olive oil, a little saturated fat and 77% monounsaturated. They say mono is good, okay? Now let's look at butter fat. Butter fat is 66% saturated and 20%, 30% monounsaturated olive oil. What about beef tallow? 52% saturated, 44% monounsaturated. So that's still good, right? Next slide. Diet factors and myocardial infarction. And this is a study showing to us in 1900, heart attack was virtually unknown. But you can find increasing incidence of heart attack until 1970. So what do you see? An increasing intake of polyunsaturated fatty acid and declining intake of meat, saturated fat, also declining intake of butter, and declining intake of egg. If you lower your egg intake, saturated fat, the result is you will end up with heart attack. Okay? Next slide. Next slide. While it's true that researchers have induced heart disease in some animals by giving them extremely large doses of oxidized or rancid cholesterol at levels 10 times that found in the ordinary human diet, several popular studies squarely contradict the cholesterol-heart disease connection. Okay, next slide. A survey of 1,700 patients with hardening of the arteries conducted by Michael DeBacchi found no relationship between the level of cholesterol in the blood and the incidence of atherosclerosis. No, nothing significant, JAMA 1964. A survey of South Carolina adults found no correlations of blood cholesterol levels with bad dietary habits, such as red meat, animal fats, butter. That means you can eat animal fat, you can eat eggs, butter, your cholesterol will not increase. Next slide. Next slide. Mother's milk, Mother's milk, okay, breast milk, provides a higher proportion of cholesterol than almost any other food. It contains over 50%, to be precise, about 55% calories as fat, much of it saturated fat. Both cholesterol and saturated fat are essential for growth in babies and children, especially the development of the brain. The baby needs fats and cholesterol up to the 5th year. If you give them non-fat formula, the brain is damaged and they are prone to develop cancer. That's why there's an increasing cancer is the #1 killer in American babies. And we have a lot of autistic children, hyperactive children, all caused by lack of fats in the brain. Next slide. Commercial formulas are low in saturated fats, and soy formulas are devoid of cholesterol. A recent study linked low-fat diets with failure to thrive in children. If you give babies low-fat diet like with their formula milk right now, pediatric formula, no, no saturated fat there, they remove that, replace that with corn, the result, their brain is damaged. And they'll be in the hospital until they die. They can have kidney failure, kidney damage, heart damage, liver damage, all organs will be damaged without saturated fats. A medical research council showed that men eating butter run half the risk of developing heart disease as those using margarine. And yet we were told to eat a lot of margarine. Margarine is a killer. Next slide. Numerous surveys of traditional populations have yielded information that is an embarrassment to the diet dictocrats. These diet dictocrats are not using science, they only want to use politically, they are just politically correct. A study comparing Jews when they live in Yemen, whose diets contain fat, solid animal origin, to Yemenite Jews living in Israel, whose diets contain margarine and vegetable oils, revealed that little heart disease or diabetes in the former group, but high levels of both diseases in the latter. So those who live on saturated fat, virtually no heart attack, no diabetes. This study also noted that the Yemenite Jews consume no sugar, but those in Israel consume sugar 25 to 30% of total carbohydrate. That is pyramid diet. Next slide. A comparison of population in northern and southern India revealed a similar pattern. People in northern India consume 17 times more animal fat, but have an incidence of coronary heart disease 7 times lower than the people in southern India. The Massa and kindred tribes of Africa subsist largely on milk, blood, and beef. They are free from coronary heart disease and have excellent blood cholesterol level. Next slide. Eskimos eat liberally of animal fats from fish and marine animals. Only their native diet, on their native diet they are free of disease and exceptionally hardy. An extensive study of diet and disease patterns in China found that the region in which the populace consumes large amount of whole milk had half the rate of heart disease. So you better drink milk right now. Whole milk, not non-fat. Okay, you are not protected by non-fat. Next slide. Several Mediterranean societies have low rates of heart disease, even though fat, including highly saturated fat from lamb, sausage, and goat cheese, comprises up to 70% of their caloric intake. The inhabitants of Crete, for example, are remarkable for their good health and longevity. A study of Puerto Ricans revealed that although they consume large amount of animal fat, they have a very low incidence of colon cancer and breast cancer. If you're afraid of cancer, eat a lot of fats, and cancer will disappear. A study of the long-lived inhabitants of Soviet Georgia revealed that those who eat the most fatty meats live the longest. In Okinawa, where the average lifespan for women is 84 years, longer than in Japan, the inhabitants eat generous amounts of pork and seafoods and do all their cooking in lard. The relative good health of the Japanese, who have the longest lifespan of any nation in the world, is generally attributed to a low-fat diet. That's wrong. Their diet is low in fat, is a myth. That's the truth. Rather, the diet contains moderate amounts of animal fat from eggs, pork, chicken, beef, seafood, and organ meats. The Japanese probably consume more cholesterol than most Americans. What they do not consume is a lot of vegetable oil, white flour, processed food, although they do eat white rice. The lifespan of the Japanese has increased since World War II with an increase in animal fat and protein in the diet. So they live long because of what? Animal fat and protein in the diet. Next slide. Those who point to Japanese statistics to promote the low-fat diet fail to mention that the Swiss live almost as long on one of the fattest diets in the world, Swiss people. Tied for third in the longevity stakes are Austria and Greece, both with high-fat diets. As a final example, let us consider the French, Anyone who has eaten his way across France observe that the French diet is just loaded with saturated fats in the form of plenty of butter, eggs, cheese, cream, liver, meats, and rich pâtés. Yet the French have a lower rate of coronary heart disease than many other Western countries. The lowest incidence of heart attack among women throughout the world is among French women. Next slide. In the United States, 315 of every 100,000 middle-aged men die of heart attack each year. In France, the rate is 145 per 100,000. In the Gascony region, where goose and duck liver form a staple of the diet, this rate is remarkably low, 80 per 100,000. This phenomenon has recently gained international attention as the French paradox. Let's look at that. Okay, the French paradox. Okay, U.S. Census Bureau. An aging world. Average lifespan of American is 77, while U.S. doctors are dying at a younger age, 50 and 60 age group, an average of 57. So U.S. doctors lose 20 years of their lifespan because of low fat, low cholesterol, even of the very condition, heart attack, that they are trying to treat. So most American doctors, they die of heart attack because of low fat, low cholesterol. The Bible says, Luke 4 verse 22, know them by their fruits, and physicians, heal first yourself. That means the physicians are dying faster than their patients in America. Composition of atherosclerotic plaque. The plaques are complex entities with numerous components, including smooth muscle cells, calcium, connective tissue, white blood cells, cholesterol, and fatty acids. So it's not only cholesterol, it's a mixture of many things. Proliferation of plaques may occur not because of simple elevation in blood cholesterol, but because of the unfavorable physiological conditions that damage or weaken the structure of the arterial wall. These factors include, so these are factors causing plaque formation, nutrient deficiency. So kulang ka sa sustansya, you get that from milk. Poor glycemic control, you cannot lower your blood sugar because you are using pyramid diet. Cigarette smoking, okay? Nobody will stop smoking this smoker. Even though you place there, smoking will kill you, they will still smoke. Homocysteine level, that is connected with cardiovascular disease. Psychological stress, that was discussed by Dr. John Emanuel. Nitric oxide depletion, because nitric oxide is a vasodilator. High iron levels, you take perosulfates, you end up with heart attack. Microbial infections, okay, next slide. Dietary trans fatty acid, there, that's the killer. Excessive refined carbohydrate intake, pyramid diet. Excessive omega-6 fatty acid intake, that is linoleic acid, corn oil, canola oil, soybean oil, sunflower. And or deficient omega-3 fat intake, that is EPA, okay, fish oil, yeah, that's from fish oil. DSA, docosahexaenoic acid, and eicosapentaenoic acid. Next slide. A study focusing on the cardiac trees of several types of fat, saturated fat, trans, comparing them, trans fat and so on. Okay. Trans unsaturated fats has the highest risk, heart attack. Okay, 93%. Polyunsaturated fats, corn oil and soybean, next 38%. Monounsaturated fats, olive and canola, 19%. Saturated fat, the lowest, 17%. That's from the New England Journal of Medicine, November 1997. So that means you don't like heart attack, you don't like cancer, you need a lot of saturated fat and cholesterol. Saturated fatty acids constitute at least 50% of the cell membranes. That's the role of saturated fats. They are what give our cells necessary stiffness and integrity. They play a vital role in the health of our bones. For calcium to be effectively incorporated into the skeletal mass structure, at least 50% of the dietary fat should be saturated. Anybody has this point of pen? Palito tayo. Wala nang gasolina to. Okay. If you have a lot of saturated fats, you will have strong bones. They enhance the immune system, antivirus, antibacteria, and anti-cancer. These are saturated fats. Polyunsaturated fats promotes cancer, promotes bacterial infection, promotes viral infection, but saturated fat is exactly the opposite. They protect the liver from alcohol, toxins, and side effects of most drugs. You know, if the liver suffers, you're prone to develop hepatitis, A, B, C, D, E. They lower lipoprotein alpha, a substance in the blood that indicates proneness to heart disease. It's from the Journal of Internal Medicine. Saturated 18-carbon stearic acid and 16-carbon palmitic are the preferred foods for the heart, which is why the fat around the heart muscle is highly saturated. The heart draws on this reserve of fat in times of stress. If you don't have this fat, your heart will weaken and you develop cardiomyopathy, weakness of the heart muscle. And okay, now let's look at the result of my patients. Okay, this is Janet Yumping. I treated her 2001. She was very, very thin. You can find that in a copy, her picture there. 2001, she was very, very thin. She's a case of bronchiectasis. Okay, she was vomiting blood. She was coughing out blood. And 2001, when she contracted bronchiectasis, she lost so much weight. Her weight was 100 pounds. It became 78 pounds. She lost 22 pounds in 3 months. So she was brought to the medical city, and the doctor said, we cannot reverse bronchiectasis. There is nothing, no drug that can reverse that. The only thing that we can do is remove 1/3 of your lungs, lobectomy. Both lower lobes will be, so she'll be operated. But she can only live for how long? 8 to 10 years after the operation. So she was transferred to the Quezon Institute, the same verdict. No treatment, we cannot reverse bronchiectasis. It's totally damaged. We have to remove that. She can only live for 8 to 10 years. So she came to me, she was brought to me. I treated her within 3 months. Her weight from 78 became 105. And she became very healthy. And she's very, very muscle ahead. September 2013, she's now Miss Makati. She should have been dead when she's now 26 years old. She should have been dead when she was 22 or 24 years old. But without operation, she's very, very much alive. No sign of lung disease. That means it can be reversed by my system of management, which is called stem cell enhancing, or RCB, rapid cellular bonding. I presented that in my paper last year, November. Okay. Oh, here's a case of cancer from North General Hospital here, right? 2009. I treated her after May, June, almost 2 or 3 months. You could see the marked difference and that regressed. Okay, next slide. This one, colon cancer. Okay, she had October 2005, she had the chemotherapy 1 cycle only at Makati Medical Center. Then she was brought to my clinic September 2007. By 2009, he was very, very healthy until now. He's referring a lot of cases to me. His cancer is gone with the wind already. What happened to our beloved president? She also had colon cancer 2008. She was brought to the Makati Medical Center. She underwent more than 6 cycles, maybe 10, and she died 1 year after August 1, 2009. I'm sorry to hear about that. But look at the same case, and this one is much, much alive. 2005, he had already stage 4 colon cancer. So how many years already? Okay. Next slide. Okay. This is another case, multiple sclerosis. You know, multiple sclerosis, they are caused by, of course, that was discussed the other day by the dentist. Okay, it could also be caused by too much mercury and so on. It can damage the nerve sheath. In multiple sclerosis, the nerve sheath is damaged, so that the conduction of the nerve is reduced from 70 km per hour to 1 km per hour. So that she has to be on wheelchair, and her thinking process is failing already. Okay, she was brought in my clinic in that condition in 2006. That was May, June 2006. A lot of change. She became very pretty. Okay, and she was walking until now. 7 years under Makati Medical Center. With me, 1 month she's walking until now. And look at her now. Very pretty. Next slide. Okay, this patient was brought to me by the one with the colon cancer. He was the one carrying this guy. He has neuropathy, he has gout and arthritis. He was bedridden. Look at him. And look at him, June 29, July 20, he was walking already. Until now. That is stem cell enhancing. Rapid cellular. This lady is the case of liver cancer. Okay? She went to Makati Medical Center and she wanted to undergo chemotherapy, but honestly, the doctor told her, Mrs. B, AB, okay, very, very sorry, with or without chemotherapy, you will die within 1 to 3 months, because that's liver cancer. You know that, right? She has 3 big masses there. So she went to another hospital and she got the same verdict. Mrs. AB, you will, very, very sorry, you will die within 1 to 3 months. I treated her September 2008. Look at her now. In my clinic, 2013, she's all smile. No more stage 4, no more liver cancer. Okay? Miracle? That's what Dr. Diliaco was saying. There's a lot of things we can contribute to medical science. But the problem is, because of what I say, sometimes I almost, for 2 years, for successive, I almost lost my license. And the case against me is just because I give them plenty of egg, plenty of milk, plenty of butter, and plenty of bulalo. Next slide. Here's another case, motor neuron disease. That is Lou Gehrig's disease. And there is no treatment for that. Okay? The patient is a big time. Okay? He contracted this disease. He went to St. Luke's. After treatment, he spent 2 million. St. Luke's told him, we're very sorry, there is no treatment for Lou Gehrig's disease. So he went abroad, America, most likely Harvard, Stanford, and so on. In Europe, he spent another 10 million. He spent a total of 12 million. Then he heard about me, he came to the Philippines. I treated him. In 5 months' time, he was walking. Until now. Perfect. Okay. This is the father of the Lolo of Jerty Yumping. Okay, he was confined at National Kidney Institute with kidney failure and creatinine of 900. Wow. If the creatinine is 100, that's normal. If that is 500, you're due for dialysis. But in this case, it's 900, the only treatment, no treatment anymore because he was already comatose for 2 days. So 5 kidney doctors at the NKI, National Kidney Institute, advise the family, you may bring home your father, Bishumpi, for him to, anytime he will die. Not tomorrow, anytime, any hour, any moment. So, the daughter, because the daughter is the mother of Jerty Yumping, okay, the daughter got the stem cell enhancing medicine, RCB, from my clinic, put that in the mouth of his dad, and did it that way, in front of the doctors. They saw it. After a few minutes, that man is Mr. Lusagay, he woke up, sat down and said, "Ako'y nauuhaw." In Tagalog, I thirst. So he was given, in English, so he was given water to drink. And he stood up and said, "I want to go home." That's like saying, "I want to go home to West Virginia." So he went home. After few months, he ran for Barrio Council and he won. But this is the miracle. He's already a widower. He got married to a beautiful lady. Okay. And then, he got 1 son, isa, another one, and another one. Isa, dalawa, tatlo. Okay. Now, look at him now in 2013. He's just like, ano yung tawag sa ganyan? Like Speaker of the House now. Ang forma niya parang Speaker of the House, right? Okay, next slide. This is another, the doctor, okay? And that is atopic dermatitis. He has been to the best, all the best hospitals in the Philippines. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Oh yeah. And he wanted, and he bought already a coffin and a 45 caliber, and told his wife, "I want to commit suicide." Why? He's so depressed. His skin is rotten. Oh, who will know? If you're a doctor, how can you get patients, right? So he came to me. I didn't look at him in 1 month's time. In 2 months' time, even the hair grows. Now he's abroad practicing. Okay, next slide. Oh, this is a case of cancer. Okay, I treated her. She's a patient of St. Luke's, 2008. Okay, in uterus and ovary, and then even the doctors were amazed, were shocked. What happened? When they learned that I'm giving her plenty of eggs and plenty of butter, and they said it could be dangerous for you. But now look at her right now. She was in the clinic, very healthy, and the cancer is gone with the wind. Next slide. Oh, here's a case, another case with the lady is suffering from mitral stenosis, heart problem, valvular damage. Her valve is it's not opening up. It should open like this, but in her case, it's stenotic. It's opening a little only. Okay, that's why the doctors told her in Australia she should undergo a heart transplant. No need for surgery cannot help anymore. So she decided to come to the Philippines and told the husband, "I'm going to the Philippines." Well, the husband says, "Well, we have better doctors in Australia. Why you're going to the Philippines?" Well, I heard about Dr. Navarro. He's got their stem cell enhancing system. So the husband did not believe her, so he said, "Okay, you like it, you better go." So she went along. I treated her. Look at her after 6 months. Even the skin improved, right? I told you there are stem cells in the skin. If you perk that stem cell, the skin will become younger than springtime. Okay, then she called the husband. "I'm coming home to Australia." The husband said, No, I have to fetch you because if you pass by Singapore, there are many binata who will court you. Kasi she became very beautiful. Next slide. This case of psoriasis. Psoriasis is what we call the Waterloo of dermatologists. Several dermatologists, one even from St. Luke's, has referred the case to me. And that lady was about to get married. She was from Hong Kong, and she was worried. She told me, a dermatologist from St. Luke's referred the case to me. She said to me, "Professor Navarro, if I get married, and my husband would see my skin, baka he might run away." So I treated her, and look at this. This fellow has been around the world. He has the money to go around the world. Nothing happened for him for 10 years. And look at him in 3 months. Until now. Okay? So you see a lot of things that can be done with my diet and my stem cell enhancing system. Next slide. Okay, this one is for amputation. A 75-year-old person with diabetic neuropathy. He told the family, "I want to die with my leg intact." So he was brought to me, and you could see the dramatic change within 2 weeks only. Okay? Next slide. And this one is for a case of kidney failure. Okay, 2005, he went to the heart center for angioplasty. Remember, the angiogram can cause kidney failure. October 2005, he had already kidney failure. And when he was brought to me in 2006, 2005 October, he was already on dialysis. And when he was brought to me, he was already that high, creatinine about 693, sometime March 2006. And he improved dramatically. You could see the improvement, right? At least his creatinine went down as far as 200. It never went down after that. Next slide. This is a case of multiple sclerosis. The lady's name is Joyce Pope. Okay. Joyce Pope was already in a very serious condition. She was about to commit suicide. She's a patient of the PCMC, Doctora, Philippine Children's Medical Center. She was indeed referred to me by one of the chief pediatric neurologists there, Joyce Pope. Joyce Pope was already in a bad situation. He was brought to PCMC. Nothing happened. She was transferred to UST. Nothing happened. She was brought to St. Luke's. Nothing happened. She was still, And then St. Luke's referred her to 17 top neurologists. All the best neurologists in the Philippines went to St. Luke's to treat Joyce Po. Nothing happened, to no avail. Then Joyce Po was referred to American neurologists, most likely Harvard, Stanford. They came to the Philippines, treated Joyce Po. Nothing happened. And Joyce Po became comatose. She was already 3 days comatose. And at that point, her chief neurologist decided to refer her to me. Okay? So Joyce Po was brought to me. By the way, the mother said to the doctor, why is it when my daughter is already comatose, that's the time you would refer her to Dr. Navarro? We have been to the best doctor in the Philippines and abroad. Who is Dr. Navarro? Why are you referring me to Dr. Navarro? The answer of the chief neurologist is that Dr. Navarro is a miracle doctor. So only God's miracle will heal Joyce Po. So Joyce Po was brought to me. So hawak-hawak ng father niya, put that in the chair, seizure, he had seizure and he fell. And then, I know that I cannot treat Joyce Po, so I anointed her, I prayed for her. And then when she regained consciousness, I gave her the rapid start RCB, stem cell enhancing. After that, she woke up and told the mother, Mommy, I'm being electrified, kinukuryente ako. That means the nerve conduction improves. Then she stood up, she went to the CR, and then when she's back, she already opened the computer and see sound. Okay, a few months after, she went back to school because she had been absent for 2 years. She took the exam, she topped the exam, she was accelerated, double acceleration. Now Joyce Po, I have the picture, but it was not printed here. She was in the clinic the other month, previous months. She's already 19 years old now, very, very healthy. Okay? Next slide. Oh, this is another case of atopic dermatitis. You can see the improvement until now. For the boy. Next slide. This is Joven Atienza. Another case, this is a case of epilepsy. He was brought to epilepsy. He contracted subacute sclerosing panencephalitis, total brain damage. His brain became very, very small. The brain of age 70 years old. This is just 16 years old. Okay? So he was brought to the Manila Doctors Hospital. The doctor said, panel of neurologists said, Mrs. Atienza, we are very sorry, there is no treatment for subacute sclerosing panencephalitis. What do you say, doctor, right? A pediatrician from PCNC. No treatment throughout the world. So, Joyce Po was transferred to another hospital, and that is the, Joven Atienza to Chinese General Hospital, the same verdict. Genealogist says, sorry, Mrs. Atienza, the only son is the only son. There is no treatment for that. So ultimately, she was referred to me. He was referred to me by the same doctor from PCNC. Okay? I treated him. Within 1 week, he was already walking. He was speaking. Within 1 month, he climbed the stairs and sang during the graduation.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. What did he sing? Maybe
To God be the glory.
Amazing Grace. Okay, next slide. Oh, this is a case of kidney failure. Creatinine 1,300. Villaflor Hospital connected with St. Luke's in Pangasinan, that's with St. Luke's. Said she needs, of course, dialysis. She refused dialysis and she came to me. But of course I tell them, why don't you can go, you can proceed with dialysis, but she didn't want. So I treated her. In 3 months' time, my creatinine is down to about 200 already. And right now, she's very okay. Next slide. This is Edgardo Cuarto. He's a member of the Carpenters, those who sing on top of the world. I am on top of the world. Okay. He had a stroke, he fell backward, and he had bleeding in the brain. And he became comatose for 6 days. He was brought to the hospital, Our Lady of Kaysasay Hospital in Lemery, Batangas. Okay, in the hospital, they told them that he needs a craniotomy, but they didn't have the money until he developed rigidness, what you call rigor mortis. Everything became rigid. Ultimately, he was discharged and was given already death certificate. Death certificate, because he was on rigor mortis. So they brought him home, so they put a black curtain, and then candles. So they were just waiting, and they collected money to buy the coffin for the funeral. And then here's the funeral car coming, and my medicine is coming because they requested that the day before. So nauna na ng konti, kumbaga sa karera, photo finish. Nauna. Ngayon, so the medicine, but they could not give the medicine because rigid, everything is rigid. So the RCB rapid stem cell enhancing, they put that there, it's softened, and everybody claps, may pag-asa pa. And then, but they could not give that because the teeth are clenched. So they tried to look at space, and they found out a place where there's no teeth, bungal, okay? So they put the medicines there to that area. So that means my advice for senior citizen, kung kayo, magpabungi na kayo para may daan na ng gamot. So they put the medicine there. After a few minutes, he sat down and said, I thirst. And this is the miracle. After 2 days, he was already walking. And they called me, I told him, you get your clinical summary in the hospital. So he went to the Radio Kaisasa hospital on the second day, and he was claiming his clinical summary, and the administration said, this fellow is dead already. So they did not give him the clinical summary until now. Next slide. This is a case of kidney damage. I treated him in 2010. He has been to 4 hospitals, best hospitals in the Philippines. His name is, I won't give his name anymore. His case is both kidneys are damaged. One kidney, the function, the GFR is only 10. If it is below 15, it's already stage 5. The other kidney, the GFR is 60. It's about stage 2. But the problem, the other kidney has cancer. So all the doctors in the hospital advise they should remove the right kidney. He refused. If you remove my right kidney, my GFR will fall to 10. And I would end up with kidney transplant already. I cannot survive. So when he came to me, all legs are swollen like elephantiasis. And the heart, the face was swollen and he could hardly walk. He's being carried. Okay? He told me, I came to your clinic, Dr. Navarro, 10 a.m. And my number is number 75. I was the number 75. And you treated me 9:30 p.m. From 10 a.m. to 9:30, I treated him 9:30. So he went out of the clinic 10 p.m. already. But he's very happy now. He's very much okay. He never undergo dialysis. His kidney function is normal, and his cancer has regressed already without chemotherapy. By the way, I don't advise you not to undergo chemotherapy. Maybe these are just God's will. Okay, next slide. Oh, another case. 2003 had colon cancer. Okay, she was treated at St. Luke's, and then she came to a point that he lost his mind. Total lost his mind. He could not recognize anyone anymore. So he was sent to me sometime in 2007. He was very, very weak. Now look at him now. This is 2013 already. No more colon cancer. Okay, next slide. Oh, this fellow is suffering from depression. Depression. When he came to me, he said, Dr. Navarro, if you have a 45 caliber, just shoot me now. He wanted to die already. So I treated him. Within 2 weeks, he's normal. A nurse also from the hospital where I'm a consultant, specialist hospital, came to my clinic and told me, Dr. Navarro, I'm a patient of the psychiatrist up there, and I've been taking his medicines for 3 years. Now I want to commit suicide. That's what the nurse told me. So I treated her. 2 weeks after, she came back to me, Dr. Navarro, I'm okay now, I'm going abroad. Like this one, very, very happy. You can reverse depression by just throwing away all this low-fat, low-cholesterol diet. Okay, next slide. Oh, this case is stroke patient. She's already 67 years old. She had a stroke. She became comatose. She was brought to the CLDH, Central Luzon Doctors Hospital, that is #1 in Tarlac. And she was comatose for 10 days. So the son came to me, got the medicine. I told him to request the doctors there to give her the medicine. But of course, she was not allowed. He was not allowed. So he gave the medicine surreptitiously, and he told me the result. After giving the medicine, my mother, after a few minutes, started to move her fingers, open her eyes, rolled, and the next day, she stood up and sat on her chair. Within 1 week, she was discharged. Look at her, 1 year after. She's already a Canadian citizen. Big time on that. Because she's very, very strong. Pwede na siyang maglaba Canadian, magluto Canadian, mamalengke Canadian. That means very, very strong. Okay, next slide. Oh, this is a case of Hidalgo. Also the same problem. Mitral stenosis. The Philippine Heart Center says she has to undergo operation. That was 2009. But she refused, and she became comatose. Why? Because a clot formed in the heart and went to the brain. So she was there comatose already. So she was brought to the hospital in San Jose, Batangas, and nothing happens. On the 10th day, she was brought to the heart center, and the Philippine Heart Center doctor said, "We cannot treat you anymore because you are now a neurological case." So she was brought home, and they got the medicine from me. They gave the medicine through the NGT, and they gave plenty of bone marrow, 8, 12 eggs a day, bone marrow and bulalo only, and milk. Within 1 week, she was walking. She came to my clinic. Within 2 weeks, she went back to the clinic, and she was already singing. Next slide. Well, the doctor of the future will give them medicine, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame in diet and the cause and prevention of disease. That's from Thomas Edison. So let's have a break. Yan lang po. Break muna po tayo. Probiotic modulators involved in important biological activities, preventing pathogen binding to the intestinal epithelium and serving as nutrient for a selected class of beneficial bacteria, that is oligosaccharides. Glycomacropeptides, composed of peptides, large peptides, polypeptide, and attached to sugar. GMP is a biologically active component of milk that has the ability to enhance the growth of host-friendly colonic microflora bifidobacteria, good bacteria, while inhibiting the proliferation of pathogens, disease-causing bacteria, and to modulate immune function by helping control infections. GMP is high in branched-chain amino acids, leucine, isoleucine, and valine, and useful in the management of liver diseases. If you have liver cancer, if you have hepatitis B, you need a lot of BCAA, branched-chain amino acid. GMP has anti-inflammatory property and may play a role in the management of patients with inflammatory bowel disease. And that's why Crohn's disease is easy to manage in my clinic. Within 2 weeks, they're okay already, Crohn's disease. And also what you call colon, ulcerative colitis. They're easy to manage, they're very easy to manage in my clinic. Next slide. GMP may be used as a novel prophylactic agent for the control of allergies. GMP and its derivatives have immuno-enhancing effects and phagocytic activities of human macrophage-like cells, so they can destroy pathogens or disease-causing bacteria and viruses. GMP can inhibit enamel demineralization and promotes tooth enamel remineralization. So to prevent root canal, you better drink a lot of milk to improve your root canal problem, okay? You need a lot of GMP. GMP provides new, more physiologic source of low phenylalanine dietary protein for people with phenylketonuria. This is a disease whereby they react with too much phenylalanine. Next slide. Okay, conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, is found in the cream of the milk And also in the saturated fats. Okay, beef belly is also rich in CLA. So what's the role of CLA? CLA, small amounts of CLA have blocked all three stages of cancer. Initiation of cancer, promotion, metastasis. So you see, very powerful. It's more powerful than chemotherapy in killing cancer. And when you get a lot of CLA, you get that from milk, okay? Most anti-cancer agents block only one of these 8 stages. Maybe one chemotherapy will block only the initiation, stage 1, promotion, stage 2 or 3, or metastasis, stage 4. Most anti-cancer agents block only one of these stages, chemotherapy. What's more, CLA has slowed the growth of an unusually wide variety of tumors, including cancer of the breast, skin, prostate, and colon. But you get this from the cream of the milk. If you're taking only non-fat, you don't get this. Okay? Next slide. CLA mimics the effect of synthetic diabetic drugs. Why? Conjugated linoleic acid will improve insulin sensitivity. So what happens to our diabetic patients? They were told to drink non-fat milk, so they never recover from diabetes. They need CLA to improve insulin sensitivity. CLA exerted beneficial effects on cardiovascular risk. Biomarkers, reduction of insulin, blood lipids, increase of adiponectin. Adiponectin prevents accumulation of fats and improves endothelial function. So that means CLA prevents heart attack and stroke. CLA prevents cancer, CLA prevents heart attack, CLA prevents stroke, and they are found in the cream of the milk and in the fat of the beef. Significantly reduced body fat in sedentary women with metabolic syndrome and increased lean body mass. So, if you are obese, you need a lot of CLA. Why? CLA will enhance leptin effect. What is leptin? Leptin is a hormone that is secreted by body fats. When you eat, your fats will secrete leptin hormone, and the leptin acts on the hypothalamus to reduce your appetite, so you stop eating. But the leptin effect will not work in the absence of CLA. So if your milk is non-fat, you eat and drink non-fat, after 3 hours, you are very, very hungry because you don't have CLA. So you eat again and drink non-fat, so after 3 hours, you're very hungry. But you drink full cream, you can stand up for 10 hours or more without getting hungry because of CLA. Maintains insulin sensitivity and non-inflammatory pattern in adipose tissue in mice. So good for diabetes. Showed neuroprotective effects against neurotoxins, thus having the potential for use as an Alzheimer's disease therapeutic agent. Well, the medicine for Alzheimer is very expensive, right? Drink full cream milk. You don't need to buy expensive medicine. Associated to increase in bone mineral density, but does not affect parathyroid hormone blood, or to prevent osteoporosis, has anti-inflammatory effect that's beneficial for patients with Crohn's disease. It blocks. Crohn's disease is a case by which you lose a lot of mucus and blood in the stool. One time I had a case. He had Crohn's disease. At the same time, he was due for, he went to America for bypass, okay? And he has Crohn's disease. So the American doctor says, we cannot do the bypass unless we repair first your Crohn's problem. We have to cut your intestine first. So you have to move through the colostomy. Then after that heals, then we will do the bypass. And after that heals, we will re-anastomose. So he complained, gagawin niyo naman akong baboy eh. So he went back to the Philippines and he called me 2009. So I sent him the medicine, stem cell enhancing. His Crohn's disease disappeared and he was never bypassed anymore. I was about to go to Hong Kong with my family at the time, 2009. We went December. By April, he invited me sa kanilang sa Bigan. Yung malaking doon, tawag doon? Baluarte. He invited me because his brother owns the Baluarte. And he put me in a very, very nice room. Yung nandiyan ang mga hayop. And we buy 3 big rooms. Okay, I was there. And he was the one driving for us. And he drove us around Bigan. Okay. I won't mention his name. Kilala niyo po ba yun? Kapatid ng former governor of Bigan. Yes, Honorable Chavez, his brother, Honorable Chavez. Conjugated legal acid improves the lipid profile, okay? Can reduce regression of atherosclerosis. That means if you have black heart, black brain arteries, it will remove all the plaques there. Okay? Next slide. So you see, it's all from milk. Very simple. CLA supplementation is significant improvement in clinical manifestation of patients with rheumatoid arthritis. So it reduces inflammation. Dietary CLA decrease weight loss and extend survival following onset of kidney failure in men. In mice, if you have kidney failure, it's good. Showed antipruritic activity, itchiness, with significant inhibition of stretching behavior, platelet activating factor, and vasodilation of the skin. Mukhang meron na sa kanina ba yan? Ha? O, pero sa akin din. Protects against end-stage disease of systemic lupus erythematosus. Saan? Siya na pala. Okay. Next slide. Branch chain amino acid, okay? Leucine, isoleucine, and valine. Reduce early recurrence after hepatic resection in patients with liver cancer and offers potential benefits for patients even with a poor preoperative liver function. That's why my liver patients, they got well very fast. Ameliorate hepatic encephalopathy and has beneficial effect in liver regeneration and hepatic cachexia. In hepatic encephalopathy, if you eat proteins, the proteins produces ammonia. Okay? And that ammonia, when it accumulates in the brain, will depress the brain and cause loss of consciousness. Okay? But if the liver is healthy, ammonia is converted to urea by a healthy liver and thrown to the kidney. So it is lost. But if the liver fails because of cancer or any other condition you develop, your patient can die of encephalopathy because of accumulation of ammonia. Okay? What will help? Branch chain amino acid. Promotes cognitive improvement by restoring hippocampal function after a traumatic brain injury. That means if your brain was injured, you fell from a 31st floor. Well, I had a patient. She had spondylosis, that's the sickness of GMA, damage, damaged spine, and because she fell from a 31st story floor. Would you survive if you fell from a 31st story floor? Yes, he fell. She was lying on a cama. She fell on the 31st story floor from the cama. So she has a damaged spinal cord. So she had been in a wheelchair for 15 years. She's related to the first Miss Universe in the world. Who's the first Miss Universe in the world? Ami Cosela Hilario, that's right. She's Miss Hilario, 67 years old. And she told the American doctors, I'm going to the Philippines for treatment. The American doctor says in Las Vegas, Nevada, said, are you crazy? The Filipinos must come to America, not an American going to the Philippines. It's just like saying, what do you think? Can we not treat you? But she said, I've been here for 15 years and nothing happens. And then she was told, who is your doctor? And her answer is Dr. Robin Navarro. Oh, he's a liar. I'm a liar because I'm using French diet, which is inverted pyramid. They are following the pyramid diet. So she came to the Philippines, I treated her. In 3 days' time, she was walking. So she went back to Nevada, and all the doctors were tongue-tied. Then she referred another case. She was virtually crawling for 15 years. I treated her, she walked. And this is another case. I had a nurse, I wouldn't tell you anymore from where she is. She's from Europe. She came to the Philippines, I treated her, she got well, and she brought my stem cell enhancing medicine. And she was assigned in euthanasia ward. You know what is euthanasia word? Your job is to kill. So that is a hospital funeraria. You enter the hospital to get out from in a funeral, right? Why? Because the patient has been hopeless there for 7 years, bedridden, so they opted to die. That's mercy killing. So what she did, she was scared. She gave my stem cell enhancing to one patient, and that patient walked in 3 days' time. She gave to another patient, and that patient walked in 3 days' time. So when she came back to the Philippines, she told me, Dr. Navarro, I'm shocked. Your medicine is a miracle. Then I told her, will you please tell that to the radio? Yes, yes. She agreed. But at the time she was supposed to speak at the radio, she declined. The reason is, if they will hear there that I said this on the radio, I will lose my job and I can even lose my license. But that is the truth. Totoo po yan. Okay? Branch chain amino acids that improves insulin resistance and prevents the development of colonic premalignancies associated with hyperlipidemia and hyperinsulinemia. Okay, thus can be a useful chemo prevention modality for colon cancer in obese people. You see, a lot of things are already found in the milk. Could improve the dendritic cells function in cirrhotic patients. You ever mentioned by Dr. John Emanuel, dendritic cells are very important as presenting cells to immune cells to destroy them. BCAAs, isoleucine, leucine, and valine are important factors in tissue growth and repair, particularly leucine. Decrease the severity of the anorexia in cancer patients. If you have cancer, you lose appetite, you'll never get well. You need to eat. So you need branched chain amino acids. BCAA was associated with higher serum erythropoietin levels, beneficial in protecting liver cells from what? Ischemic injury. Okay. Promote muscle recovery and reduce muscle soreness from endurance exercise. If you are an athlete, you need a lot of milk. Next slide. Choline. Well, choline, phosphatidylcholine is lecithin. Okay. Just for give you a bird's eye view, lecithin. On the last 1 month of pregnancy, give them liver every day. And there will be no, what is the damage of brain? Cerebral palsy can be prevented. Because cerebral palsy is bleeding. Okay? You can prevent that. Plus, the choline is very important for brain and spinal cord development.
What kind of flavor, doctor?
What I give are biblical liver. The liver in the Bible. In the Bible, the Lord says, you can use ruminants, okay, baka, kambing, kalabaw, tupa, or you can use chicken liver. But if you are saving your patient that cannot afford liver, I give them bangus liver. They're just throwing the liver away. So I buy all the bangus liver in the market. I go there, I buy 5 kilos. And that is cooked, and I think almost 1 kilo will be consumed by my son. He likes liver. I like liver too, okay? As much as you can eat. No problem po. You can ask Dr. Dillaco. I learned liver from him. As much as you can eat. Next slide, Jim. It's necessary for correct metabolism of cholesterol. Okay? Prevents and dissolves gallstones and kidney stones. So I have plenty of patients with kidney stones and they just disappeared. Gallstones, they disappeared with multiple gallstones, 2 centimeters, they disappeared in 2 months' time. Beneficial in the treatment of hepatitis. That's why hepatitis don't get well because they lack choline. Where do you get choline? You get that from liver. Nobody gives liver because they're afraid. And where do you get choline? You get that from egg yolk, and nobody gives egg yolk. They only give egg white. So how can you treat hepatitis B, hepatitis A, and so on? Choline has anti-nociceptive and anti-inflammatory effects. Nociceptive pain reliever and prevents inflammation. Okay? Next slide. Mechanism proposed to explain the cancer-promoting effects of choline deficiency. That means if you are deficient in choline, you develop cancer. Why? Now one, choline deficiency will cause liver damage, and regenerating liver cells are more sensitive to the effects of carcinogenic chemicals. If you are exposed to pesticide residue and so on, you can develop cancer if you are deficient in choline. results in decreased methylation of DNA, resulting in a normal DNA fate. So you need choline to produce normal DNA. If you lack choline, you produce cancerous DNA. Results in increased oxidative stress in the liver, increasing the likelihood of DNA damage, and may stimulate changes in the programmed cell death, apoptosis of liver cells, contributing to the development of liver cancer. That means, in the absence of choline, your liver cells aakyat sila sa George Bridge at tatalon sa Pasig River. They will undergo apoptosis or suicide. The liver will commit suicide in the absence of choline. And what is the food for the liver? Liver and egg yolk and milk, okay? When deprived of dietary choline, there is higher risk of organ dysfunction, and that develops later to liver or muscle damage. Your muscle can be damaged without choline or liver damage. Choline deficiency may play a role in liver disease, atherosclerosis, hardening of the arteries, and neurological disorder. I said that already. Most common signs of choline deficiencies are elevated level of the liver enzyme, ALT or SGPT, rising SGPT, and hemorrhagic kidney necrosis or kidney damage. Next. So you can see kidney damage, liver can be prevented by choline, which are easily found in liver, egg, yolk, and milk. Alkyl glycerol. Alkyl glycerols are anti-cancer, very powerful. They are found in milk also and in bone marrow. It's also found in bone marrow. Significantly boosts immunity. Breast milk has 10 times more AKG than cow's milk. So if you have a patient with cancer, you like them a lot of anti-cancer AKG, give them breast milk. But nobody sells breast milk in the Philippines, that's a problem. Inhibits cancer proliferation and prevent radiation sickness, that is AKG. AKG is claimed to help against colds, flu, chronic infection, asthma, psoriasis, arthritis, and AIDS. Directly interferes with cancer cell signaling, which is crucial to tumor growth and metastasis. That means cancer cannot talk with one another, signaling, okay, in the presence of alkyl glycerol, okay. Powerful vasodilator. So that means milk will lower your blood pressure, able to cause an important arterial hypotension. It increases vascular permeability and movement of liquid out of the vasculature. AKGs inhibit activation of protein kinase C, which is essential for the runaway cell proliferation that is a hallmark of cancer. AKG is a chelator of mercury in man. You know, toxic metals, mercury, arsenic, lead, cadmium, they come from the earth, from the soil, from factories, and they thrown to the ocean. And they are in the flesh of the bottom dwellers, crabs, shells, shrimps, oysters, squid. And they are also found in those fish without scales. Ano yun? Tuna, okay, without scales. Hito, okay, catfish, and so on. Stimulates production of white blood cells called neutrophils and activates macrophages. That is AKG to fight diseases. Okay, so you have many benefits derived from milk. It has high blood pressure lowering effect. That's ACE inhibitory, anti-thrombotic. It prevents thrombosis of blood vessel, anti-cholesterolemic, anti-oxidative. That is heart health. Also for bone health, calcium, weight management, satiety-inducing glycomacropeptides, mood, memory, and stress control, casomorphins and other opioids related, immunomodulatory glycomacropeptide, immune defense, digestive health, antimicrobials, satiety-inducing immunomodulatory glycomacropeptides, antimicrobial, calcium bindings, okay, for dental health. That is from the Journal of Functional Foods. So actually, unpasteurized milk is now a functional food. It's not just when you say functional food, it can prevent and it can heal diseases. That is milk. Next slide. Lactoferrin acts on a wide range of human and animal viruses based on DNA and RNA genomes. So you can see you can kill all these viruses by just drinking milk. Lactoferrin, herpes simplex virus type 1 and 2, measles virus, cytomegalovirus, HIV, hepatitis C, hantaviruses, rotaviruses, polioviruses type 1, human respiratory syncytial virus, pneumonia and murine-like leukemia, and even cholera. So, all of this, you don't need to buy. And you know, the antiviral agents are very damaging to the liver. You know that. The side effect is liver damage. Okay, next slide. Lysozyme, found in the egg white and also found in milk. What's the role? Consumption of milk rich in lysozyme is associated with gut health due to the increase of beneficial bacteria, bifidobacteria, and lactobacillus, and decrease of those associated with disease-causing bacteria, mycobacteria, streptococcus, and campylobacteriales. So it will destroy bacteria. That's lysozyme. So if you have infection, you need a lot of lysozyme. Lysozyme, a natural component of egg white, milk and beef, or potential additive in other foods, could reduce the biothreats risk presented by bioterror agents because of its ability to inhibit the growth of Bacillus anthracis strains. And this is the Bacillus strain that they use in Syria to destroy the people. It's the bioterrorism. Well, how do you fight bioterrorism? You drink milk, you eat raw egg white. Another factor, it is present only in raw butter, cream, and whole milk. It is not in non-fat milk. Lucid factor protects humans and animals from calcification of the joints. Degenerative. If you don't have Wilson factor, calcium will deposit in your joints. Protects against hardening of the arteries, cataracts, and calcification of the pineal glands. So you have eye damage, you will have calcification of the arteries, causing blockade. Okay, activator X. Another powerful catalyst which, like vitamin A and D, helps the body absorb and utilize minerals to activate minerals. Next slide. Methionine. Methionine is an essential amino acid. Plays an important role in protecting cells from oxidative stress and acts as a regulator of the lifespan of mammals. Methionine is also very rich in egg. 50% of all the entire methionine is metabolized mainly in the liver, where it's converted to S-adenosyl methionine or SAM, a therapeutic target in non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, alcoholic and non-alcoholic liver cirrhosis, and for the chemoprevention of hepatocellular carcinoma. So, SAM, methionine, is very important to prevent liver damage due to alcohol and due to cancer. Dramatically lower risk for lung cancer among participants with the highest blood levels of B6 and methionine. Next slide. May play an important role in regulating mood and in the treatment of depression. An anti-nociceptive agent, it removes pain. It's useful for the treatment of cluster headaches associated pain. So if you have headaches every now and then, you drink milk. Beneficial in people suffering from estrogen dominance because it converts the stronger and carcinogenic estradiol into estriol, the good estrogen, so it prevents cancer. Have anti-inflammatory effects and thus can be used in combination to treat osteoarthritis. Anti-inflammatory, okay? Improves tone and pliability of hair, skin, and nails as it is essential for the formation of healthy collagen, so you get beautiful skin with that. Chelates heavy metals, allowing them to be eliminated from the body. Heavy metals like mercury, arsenic, lead, cadmium helps prevent premature ejaculation. Who is getting this? You don't get that as senior citizen. Reduces the levels of inflammatory histamines in the body. Helpful for treating urinary tract infection as it stops bacteria from sticking to and proliferating in the walls of the urinary tract. So if you have frequent urinary tract infection, that means you are deficient in methionine. So you need a lot of eggs and milk. Cysteine. Oh, that is also a non-essential amino acid, but it is a component of glutathione, cysteine, glycine, and glutamine, a tripeptide. A natural chelator of metals like mercury, lead, and cadmium. Possesses like extension potential by participating in repairing some forms of DNA within the body. It is a powerful antioxidant deactivating hydrogen peroxide, all of these are powerful radicals, free radicals, hydroxyl free radicals, singlet oxygen free radicals, and superoxide free radicals. Interacts with aldehydes and prevents them from initiating cross-linking. With cross-linking, it will lead to aging of the skin. Okay? Next slide. Beneficial to people with obesity problem as it promotes the use of adipose tissue as a source of energy. Alleviates asthma and helps in treatment of various respiratory disorders, bronchitis, tuberculosis. Well, another good for asthmatic patient is, what's not mentioned there is choline. Lecithin. Lecithin is a lung surfactant. So it's good for those with COPD. COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And lecithin is also good for newborn, especially premature babies. Premature babies, they could not breathe, they develop respiratory distress syndrome, right? And some of them die within 2 months. And they're exposed to too much oxygen, they become blind. The only treatment for RDS is to give the baby breast milk because lecithin is found in the cream of the milk. Pediatric formula does not contain cream. So babies being fed pediatric formula, they die. They give them breast milk, they survive because of lecithin in the cream of the milk. Are you giving breast milk? For those with respiratory distress syndrome, okay? Minimizes the toxic side effects of chemotherapy, that is cysteine, protects the body from the toxic side effects of radiation therapy. High cysteine is associated with decreased risk of cancer, especially colorectal cancer. Cysteine-rich antimicrobial proteins also have antifungal activity. Acetylcysteine is an effective therapeutic option for the treatment of mild to moderate acne for beautiful skin. Schizophrenia displays mitochondrial and immune inflammatory abnormalities, evidenced by oxidative stress. And N-acetylcysteine, an antioxidant and glutamate modulator, can be an adjunct treatment for schizophrenia. Cysteine may improve mental function and reduce cognitive impairment and progression of Alzheimer's disease. And intake of carnitine-rich food in types of carnitine improve mental function, reduce cognitive impairment and progression of Alzheimer's disease. That's another one. Intake of carnitine-rich food in type 2 diabetes. Carnitine is needed for burning of fats into energy. Intake of carnitine-rich food in type 2 diabetes is associated with improvement in glycemia and plasma lipids. Reduce disability and mortality of patients with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS. Can be effective in reducing excessive daytime sleepiness in narcolepsy patients. Antukin. Nagdadrive, tulog ng tulog. Dangerous yun, mababangga ka. Okay? Has potential value for treatment of male infertility. That's carnitine. Carnitine, together with vitamin E in the diet, can impart protection against atherosclerosis, decreases the severity of mental and physical fatigue, depression, cognitive impairment, and improves health-related quality of life of patients with hepatic encephalopathy. Protects against arterial hypertension-related cardiac fibrosis and prevents hypertension-induced renal damage. Saturated fatty acids. Okay, we mentioned that already, but for a review. Saturated fatty acids, trans-palmitoleic acid that may substantially reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes. Vaccinic acid has beneficial effects on cardiovascular risk biomarkers, reduction of insulin, insulin resistance, blood lipids, increase of adiponectin. Lauric acid, 12 carbon, have antiviral and antibacterial functions. Lauric acid might act as anti-carriage and anti-plaque agent, so it's good to prevent root canal problem. Next slide. Fatty acids typically found in milk products were associated with more favorable LDL profile. Okay. Fewer small dense LDL particles and reduced distribution of the harmful small dense LDL particles. Caprylic and capric acid, 8 carbon and 10 carbons, may have antiviral activities, and caprylic acid has been reported to delay tumor growth. Capric and lauric acid are reported to inhibit COX-1 and COX-2, which are inflammatory. Next slide. Short-chain fatty acids, mainly butyric, carbon 4, and propionic, carbon 3, may be a suitable alternative bioprophylactic, and biotherapeutic strategy for colon cancer. Butyrate in butter, a major species of short-chain fatty acid, is a powerful inducer of endogenous antimicrobial host defense peptide capable of boosting host immunity and disease resistance. So, if you eat butter, your throat is protected from infection. Gastrointestinal tract are all protected from infection. Not just butter. Margarine will promote infection. Short-chain fatty acid demonstration in mice shows that butyrate, propionate, and acetate all protected against diet-induced obesity and insulin resistance. Next slide. Butyric acid, butter fat, anchor butter, and so on, is a neurotransmitter that transmits nerve impulses around the synapse. It is highly concentrated in the hypothalamus. That is butyric acid. Okay? It plays a significant role in hypothalamic pituitary function, which impact all hormonal functions, including growth hormone. It also controls functions such as sleep cycles, body temperature, and activity of the pituitary gland. It is also an anticonvulsant. That's why if you have convulsions, epilepsy, and so on, you need a lot of butyric acid. Okay? Give them corn oil canola, the convulsion will not disappear. The anticonvulsant GABA possesses anti-anxiolytic but not anamnesic effects in rats. An amnesic effect means loss of memory. Can also be used for pain and anxiety management. GABA, gamma aminobutyric acid. Next slide. Results suggest that GABA has hypotensive effect, and that the hypotensive effect of fermented milk is due to GABA. May play a role including migraine, sleep disorder, post-herpetic neuralgia, diabetic neuropathy, and tardive dyskinesia. GABA is used as treatment for anxiety disorder. It's like this. If somebody becomes violent in the mental hospital or in prison, they are injected with Valium. Valium acts on GABA to relax the patient, to remove tension. Where do you get GABA? You get that from butter. So give them plenty of butter and no more violence at home. Okay? So give a lot of butter to patients in the mental hospital and no more violence in the hospital. So you see how easy to manage this. You don't have to go to injecting Valium, just give plenty of butter. I said, if you don't have butter in the home, you become buttered wife and buttered children. That's very important, GABA. GABA is a physiological regulator of Pseudomonas aeruginosa virulence. It lowers virulence of this bacteria. One remarkable property of butyrate, okay, in butter, is its ability to inhibit histone deacetylases, resulting in gene regulation, immune modulation, cancer suppression, stem cell maturation, okay? Intestinal barrier regulation, oxidative stress reduction, diarrhea control, visceral sensitivity, intestinal motility modulation. All of these actions make butyric acid an important factor for the maintenance of gut health. Okay, man says butter consumption among Maasai warriors who consider vegetable foods as fodder for cattle can reach 1.5 pounds per day. That's butter, 1.5 pounds per day. Yet these people do not suffer from heart disease. That's why man called the lipid hypothesis the greatest scam in the history of medicine. Ano ba yung scam sa Tagalog? The greatest scam in the history of medicine. It is a scam that has been used to convince millions of healthy people that they are sick and must have expensive drugs with serious side effects. A falsehood that has persuaded Americans to adopt a bland, tasteless diet simply because their cholesterol has been defined as being too high. For men, cholesterol is good up to 360. For women, up to 1,000. Yes, you can read that. Next slide. And two types of milk: unadulterated raw milk and processed milk. Breast milk And also clean raw milk from pastured cows, buffalo, carabao, goat, camel, and sheep. Okay. Processed milk. Milk from pastured or fenced animals that have undergone processing to prolong shelf life, to adjust nutrient content, and or to give flavor and texture. Modern day medical opinion, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Okay? Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Raw milk can carry harmful bacteria and other germs that can make you very sick or kill you. Wrong. Next, there are no health benefits from drinking raw milk that cannot be obtained from drinking pasteurized milk that spread disease causing bacteria. Wrong again. The enzyme in raw milk animals are not thought to be important in human health. Wrong. So those studies have no scientific proof. Okay? Earlier century medical opinion. Let's look at what happens in the early century. Raw milk from grass-fed cows was actually used as a medicine in the early part of the last century, and even during biblical times. Milk straight from the udder, okay, direct. You drink that from the udder. Was used as a sort of stem cell from foods. You see, right? Stem cell enhancing, which was used to treat and frequently cure some serious chronic diseases. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, Galen, Pliny, Navarro, Marcellus, Empiricus, Pacius, and Antinous prescribed raw milk for diseases, and they are well-known doctors at that time. Kumbaga ngayon sila mga PMA people. Alright? And they were using raw milk. Next slide. Raw milk was prized as medicine throughout the Middle Ages and during the Renaissance. Raw milk therapy was so effective that papers and books about it were widely in print. In 1595, the Facili Medicina per Seri et Lactis Usum, Giovanni Castillo's book on milk cures was published. In 1681, Tractatus Medicus de Cura Lactis in Arthritis by Johann Reis book was published. In 1732, William Stephens wrote a book about dolus phenomenal cures with raw milk. In 1754, Frederick Hoffman wrote a treatise on the treatment of gout, scurvy, nervous disorder, utilizing raw milk alone. Next slide. Raw milk therapy was so effective that paper in 1785, Samuel Ferry delivered a prize-winning oration entitled A Dissertation on Milk about curing various diseases with raw milk. In the 18th and 19th century, raw milk was recognized around the world for its curative effects. Okay, all well-known, Philippe Petit, rather in France, C. Vivant in Italy, Dr. Philip Carrel read his paper, Milk Cure, to the Medical Society of St. Petersburg, and Dr. Innocent Nisel in Moscow treated thousands of patients with raw milk. That's from the Journal of American Medical Association, 1884. In 1876, John Tatum Banks wrote on the curative virtues of raw milk for Edinburgh Medical Journal. Dr. George Balfour lectured on the cure of diabetes at Edinburgh Royal Infirmary and wrote an article for England's most respected medical journal, The Lancet, stating that, quote, "You have seen some cases of chronic diarrhea and dysentery rapidly and completely cured by raw milk diet without the aid of medicine." That's from Lancet Journal, 1876. In America, in 1884, Dr. James Tyson of Philadelphia reported and was published in JAMA on medical uses of raw milk with diabetes, gastrointestinal disorder, kidney stones, obesity, and ulcer. In 1915, physician Dr. Charles Porter's book, Milk Diet as a Remedy for Chronic Disease, was sold through 12 editions and stated that the only requirement was that the milk must be raw and unadulterated, unaltered. In 1923, Bernard McFadden's The Miracle of Milk, How to Use the Milk Diet Scientifically at Home, remained in print for 20 years. Next slide. In 1922, Dr. John Harvey Kellogg successfully treated Rocky Peller for his chronic digestive problems exclusively with the raw milk diet, 1922. William Osler, the most respected physician of the early 20th century, said,
a rigid raw milk diet may be tried. This plan, in conjunction with the rest, is most efficacious. And then he quoted Chinese, milk and sweet sound blood differ in nothing but color. Milk is blood. Milk is colored white. Blood is colored red, but they have the same effect. Okay? Dr. J. Crew from the Mayo Foundation presented his findings on the therapeutic uses of raw milk before the Minnesota State Medical Society in 1983. He reported, quote, while milk is widely used and recommended as an article of diet, it is seldom used by regular physicians exclusively as an agent in the treatment of disease. He said, for 15 years, I have employed the so-called raw milk treatment in various diseases. The results obtained in various types of illnesses have been so uniformly excellent that one's concept of disease and its alleviation is necessarily modified. He used nothing except raw milk. Next slide. Raw milk is processed for the following purposes: to prolong shelf life, to adjust nutrient contents like vitamins, minerals, fats, to give flavor and improve texture. Now we are describing types of process. Next slide. To prolong shelf life, it's either pasteurized, microfiltered, sterilized, concentrated, as evaporated, condensed, dry, or powdered. Whole milk, to adjust content of fat. Whole milk contains at least 3.5% to 3.7% milk fat. That is from cow's milk. Buffalo milk is 8%, and Carabao's milk is also 8%. Standardized milk, this is made by combining buffalo milk and skim milk to bring the fat percentage to about 4.5%. That is the fats of the cow's milk. Reduced fat milk, this milk contains 1% milk. Non-fat, this type of milk may not contain more than 0.5% milk fat. Remember, the cream of the milk contains very powerful anti-cancer. Calcium-enriched milks that are enriched with extra calcium, which are also fat-reduced. Vitamin-fortified milk, milk with various vitamins added to it. Both reduced fat and skim milk have vitamin A and D added to replace the naturally occurring vitamins that are reduced when the fat was removed. Homogenized milk. Milk is homogenized to reduce the size of the remaining milk fat particles, thereby preventing milk fat from separating and floating to the surface as cream. Specialty milk. This milk includes flavored milk such as chocolate milk, which is achieved by using cocoa powder. Other common flavors for flavored milk include strawberry, banana, and vanilla. All as sugar. Yung ating salad na kinakain donated na by Mr. Cruz. And also Mr. Manikyo. Thanks then for being very active. With us here, and of course Dr. William. Our next topic is milk and honey in health and disease. Yes, do you have any questions?
Sir, would it differ if you use or if you consume, what's the difference between the mga grass-fed na beef between yung commercially, like from Monterrey? We know that they're given hormones and they're given antibiotics. Same way with the chicken. So they're given all that, and of course the eggs, they're only made to produce eggs by means of hormones, and of course we take that. So will there be any difference?
There's a big difference. Of course, free range, if it is free range, okay, they are grass-fed. Their carotenoids will be very high. Carotenoid content will be very high. That's why look at the egg. If the egg is free range, the egg is red. If the egg is not free range and egg, it is very pale, less carotenoids. And carotenoids are antioxidants. And carotenoids converts also to vitamin A. So that's how important that. Plus, if that is grass-fed, its fats is more mainly omega-3 fatty acid. But if it is fed in the poultry pen, they give them animal fat, mostly certain omega-6. Okay, so that will be the big difference. And of course, if it is spent, as you mentioned already, certain drugs are given to enhance growth or earlier harvest. Okay?
Did I answer your question? Any question? Wala na po. So we proceed to the next topic, and now my assistant is my son, Dr. John Manuel. Wala na ba tayong ganito? Okay. Para palitan mo. Busted na yung bacteria mo.
Anybody with a pointer pen?
The doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, in diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. That's from Thomas Edison. Next slide. Medical science, as it evolves, shall continuously trek on erroneous trail unless and until it jives with the exacting requirements of biblical wisdom. That's from John Manuel, Ambassador for Christ. Deuteronomy 11, verse 8 to 9. Therefore you shall keep every commandment which I command you today, that you may be strong and go in and possess the land which you cross over to possess, and that you may prolong your days in the land which the Lord swore to give your fathers to them and the descendants, a land flowing with milk and honey. So milk and honey is what we call the fountain of youth. Prolong your days. Next slide. And the people drank milk and ate honey, and they lived for 900 years. Next slide. Milk and honey can prevent all diseases, no exception. Milk and honey can cure all diseases, no exception. But what kind of milk and honey did Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Moses drink? It is wild and unpasteurized milk, honey, and raw and unpasteurized milk from free-range cows, okay, from pasture land. So that is the big difference. Yeah, it's free-range. Goat milk stock, okay, but it should not be it should be unpasteurized, and the honey should be wild. That means it came from the flower. Not right now. We have what we call cultured honey. You buy sugar from the market, you cook that, caramelize that, and feed that to the bees. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about wild honey. That's what we get. Okay, next slide. What benefits can we get from raw milk and wild honey? Both of them tinged with probiotics. So if the milk is raw, it is unpasteurized. It has many good bacteria in it. Lactobacillus and bifidobacteria. Both of them have anti-cancer, antibacterial, antiviral properties. Well, I use honey for bites, big bites, dog bites, snake bites. You can use honey, it works. Even for conditions like bulutom, you apply honey very fast. I'll show you later. Both of them have anti-cancer, antibacterial, antiviral properties. Raw milk and wild honey teams with antibodies against infections, B-complex vitamins, enzymes, coenzymes, and active proteins, which are inactivated by pasteurization. That means all of these, the antibodies and the enzymes, are lost when the milk is pasteurized. Next slide. Composition of milk. Milk is an emulsion of colloid or butterfat globules in a water-based fluid containing dissolved carbohydrates and protein aggregates with minerals. So, but in fat globules, the cream, and also water-based containing protein aggregates with minerals. As a food source for neonate, for babies, 1 month, all of its contents provide the principal requirement of the neonate, which are energy, lipids, lactose, and protein, non-essential amino acids supplied by proteins, essential amino acids and other amino groups, essential fatty acids, vitamins, and inorganic elements, and water. Next slide. Lipids or fats. Butter fat or milk fat is in the form of fat globule. 97 to 98% of lipids are triacyl glycerol, triglycerides. That is glycerol attached with 3 fatty acids. Small amounts of di and monoacylglycerol, diglyceride, monoglycerides, free cholesterol and cholesterol esters, free fatty acids, and phospholipids. The fat-soluble vitamins A, D, and K, along with essential fatty acids such as linoleic and linolenic, are found within the milk fat portion of the milk. So that means if you drink the cream, you get already the essential fatty acids, you get all the A, D, K.
So that's the advantage of drinking full cream milk than non-fat milk. Milk contains 30 to 35 grams of protein per liter, an 80% of which is arranged in casein micelles. Milk has two proteins, casein protein and whey protein. Besides the caseins, milk contains dozens of other types of protein, including enzymes. Other milk proteins are more water-soluble than the caseins and remain suspended in the whey, and they are left behind when the caseins coagulate into curds. Thus, they are collectively known as whey proteins. So if you have unpasteurized milk, a bottle of unpasteurized milk, you culture the lactobacillus and bifido, the casein protein will form a card, leaving up there a liquid called whey protein. Okay? Next slide. Milk contains several different carbohydrates, including lactose. Lactose is composed of two sugar units, glucose and galactose. Glucose, galactose, and other oligosaccharides. Oligosaccharides, they are sugars that contain 3 to 6 sugar units, oligosaccharides. Lactose is a disaccharide, two sugar combined, glucose and galactose, composed of two simple sugars, glucose and galactose, giving milk its sweet taste. It is approximately 40% of milk calories. Lactose is converted to lactic acid by the lactobacillus, a naturally occurring gut bacterium, which makes the stomach acidic and in turn prevents the growth of harmful bacteria. That means if you have good bacteria in your stomach, you will not be susceptible to cholera and all gastrointestinal infections. That's the role of the good bacteria. Okay? Vitamins, all 22 minerals considered to be essential to the human diet are present in milk. These include 3 families of salts: sodium, potassium, and chloride, calcium, magnesium, inorganic phosphorus, citrate, diffusible salts of calcium, magnesium, citrate, and milk includes fat-soluble vitamin A, D, E, K. Okay, they float in the cream, and water-soluble vitamin B1, thiamine, vitamin B2, riboflavin, vitamin B6, pyridoxine, vitamin B12, cyanocobalamin, vitamin B3, niacin, and vitamin B5, pantothenic acid. Okay, next slide. Enzymes are complex proteins that facilitate, catalyze, or speed up chemical reactions. The most significant health benefit derived from food enzyme is the burden they take off from our body. So with enzymes, you can repair damaged cells very, very fast. Without enzymes, it may take you years and years. So milk is loaded with enzymes to speed up repair. Milk enzymes come from several sources: the native milk, airborne bacterial contamination, bacteria that are added intentionally for fermentation like lactobacillus and bifido, enzymatic cells present in milk. Each enzyme has a specific site of action on its target molecule. The following enzymes are important for milk digestion. Amylase breaks down starch, glycogen, and other related carbohydrates. That means if you eat and drink milk, you improve already your enzymatic system. You can digest food faster. You will not suffer from indigestion because you lack enzymes. Lipases are enzymes that degrade fats. Proteases are enzymes that degrade proteins. Diastase speeds up the process of hydrolysis of starch to maltose. Starch is a long-chain polymer of glucose units and it's converted to maltose. Maltose is 2 glucose units connected, glucose plus glucose, okay? Catalase with cells of hydrogen peroxide. An excess of this can be damaging to our body. It will destroy us. And an unwanted byproduct of cellular metabolism. Lactase for the assimilation of lactose, galactase for the assimilation of galactose, phosphatase for the assimilation of calcium. So you could see, milk will help our pancreas. Especially if you have pancreatic problem, milk will help you digest food. Okay, next slide. The following milk enzymes are for maintaining a healthy gut. Bifidus factor allows the growth of beneficial bacteria which keep the pH in the gut low and creating an unfriendly environment for growth of bacteria. So what will happen to you? If the bacteria, bad bacteria will grow in your intestine, you will have what we call putrefaction. What will happen? Proteins incompletely digested will be absorbed and they can cause allergy. And when this state of putrefaction in Tagalog pagkabulok, putrefaction will enhance the development of cancer. So it's very important that we have good bacteria in our intestine. And the continuous supply of good bacteria comes only from raw unpasteurized milk. Okay. Complement allows for non-specific body defense against inflammation. That was discussed by Dr. John kanina. It will enhance your defense. Lactoperoxidase in milk aids in the destruction of Streptococcus antibacterial. Oligosaccharides aid in the obstructing antigens from attaching to the gastrointestinal tract. So if you have plenty of oligosaccharides, which you get from milk, you prevent allergy, you also prevent infection. So that's the job of the oligosaccharides. Oligosaccharides contain 3 to 6 glucose units. Okay? Antibodies are protein fragments or molecules and immune cells in milk that help prevent microorganisms from penetrating the body tissues. So, in the presence of raw milk, infection cannot penetrate you, so you don't get infection. So year in, year out with unpasteurized milk, you don't get sick, especially with honey. Some of the molecules bind to microbes in the lumen of the gastrointestinal tract, thereby blocking microbes from attaching to and crossing through the epithelium that lines the digestive tract and other body cavities. Example, secretory immune globulin A, or you say secretory, it is secreted by the mucus in the respiratory tract, mucus in the gastrointestinal tract, mucus in the urinary tract, mucus in the genital tract. So if you have secretory IgA, you are totally protected from all infection. Okay. Have the ability to bind to microorganisms and keep them away from the body tissues. Also, they ward off disease without causing inflammation. So no sickness, no inflammation. That is secretory IgA found in milk. Next slide. Other molecules lessen the supply of particular minerals and vitamins that harmful bacteria need to survive in the digestive tract. Example, alpha-lactalbumin binds calcium and zinc. Alpha-lactalbumin is found in whey milk. Serum albumin binds to fatty acids as well as other small molecules. Lactoferrin is an iron-binding protein. Iron is used by the bacteria, bad bacteria, to grow. Glycomacropeptide, that is sugar attached to peptides, large peptides, combats infection by binding to lectins, viruses, and mycoplasma. Okay? You know, the lectins are protein that binds with glycoproteins to example of bacteria to precipitate them so that they cannot penetrate the body. Certain immune cells in milk are phagocytes that attack microbes directly. So you can see, with unpasteurized milk alone, no H1N1 will bother you. You don't want any more worry about viruses. Antibiotics don't work on viruses, and yet milk is the best way, best tool to fight viruses. No more influenza, no more anything. Another cell produces chemicals that invigorate the infant's own immune system. That's from enzyme nutrition. Okay. Vitamins, as mentioned earlier by Dr. John, vitamin E is not a single compound. It includes tocopherols and tocotrienols, just as in raw milk. Observational studies indicate that high dietary intake of vitamin E is associated with decreased risk for cancer and coronary heart disease, and that vitamin E can stimulate T cells and increase the immune defense system. Vitamin E has one major role: to prevent damage caused by corn oil, canola oil, soybean oil, sunflower. If you take these oils without corresponding vitamin E, you will be totally damaged. You get liver damage, you get brain damage, and you get cancer. Okay. Vitamin A has a role in vision, proper growth, reproduction, and immunity. Cell differentiation, actually for stem cells, in maintaining healthy bones as well as the skin and mucosal membranes. Next slide. High folic acid. High total folic intake was associated with increased risk of incident hypertension. That's also found in milk. Folates may have a protective role to play against coronary heart disease and some forms of cancer. Riboflavin, vitamin B2, is part of the antioxidant performance of glutathione peroxidase and DNA repair via the nucleotide reductase pathway. So, very important, your glutathione will be useless without riboflavin. Vitamin B12 plays a central role in folate and homocysteine metabolism by transferring methyl group, and vitamin B12 deficiency may cause megaloblastic anemia and breakdown of the myelin sheath. If you lack folic acid and vitamin B12, you develop megaloblastic anemia. Okay, that's why they lowered the dosage for folic acid to less than 1 milligram. The result, they created a folic acid deficiency. We need at least 5 milligram just to spare, because this is the problem with those persons on what we call vegetarians. The vegetarians, they don't get vitamin B12, so they can develop megaloblastic anemia. But if you lack folic acid, you also develop megaloblastic anemia. But if you lack vitamin B12, you develop paralysis due to myelin sheath destruction. So they made a rule that folate acid will mask the megaloblastic anemia deficiency caused by B12. So they lowered the intake of folic acid below 1 milligram. So they sacrificed the whole world just to save a little vegetarians. If you are a vegetarian, it will mask your B12 deficiency and you can become paralyzed. But if you develop megaloblastic anemia, they know you are deficient in B12, you are given immediately. So for the sake of the vegetarian, they lowered, but folate has no toxicity. Folic acid is not toxic, okay? Next slide. Minerals, calcium, magnesium, potassium, immediately help regulate blood pressure. Calcium decreases the odds of getting colon or breast cancer. Okay? So we need milk again. Improve weight control and reduce the risk of developing kidney stones. Diba? You doctors warn you to avoid milk because of kidney stones? That's wrong. You know why? Kidney stones are formed from calcium and oxalate. Okay, this is how it happens. Okay, I'll tell you the biochemistry. If you eat plant materials loaded with oxalic acid is absorbed and goes to the kidney where it binds to calcium to form calcium oxalate stones. And that's why since calcium and oxalate combines to form stone, they say milk is bad because it contains calcium. But this is what happens. If you have oxalic acid in your intestine, you drink milk that's calcium in the milk will bind with oxalic acid, and calcium oxalate produced is unabsorbable. It is thrown to the stool. So it does not go to the kidney. So you drink more milk, no more stones. So all patients with stones do not drink milk. Okay. Calcium, okay. Magnesium has many functions in the body, participating in more than 300 reactions. Deficiency in magnesium has been linked to atherosclerosis and oxidative stress. If you lack magnesium, you will have a problem with coronary problem. You are prone to stroke and heart attack. Magnesium also reduce asthma. Very important for bronchodilation. Next slide. Zinc has several functions in the body: in DNA repair, cell growth and replication, gene expression, protein and lipid metabolism, immune function, and hormone activity. It's also found in milk. Iodine is an essential component of thyroid hormones. Okay, lack of iodine will cause thyroid enlargement. Selenium deficiency has been linked to adverse mood states, and selenium has a role in immunity and in antioxidant defense system and DNA synthesis and repair. If you lack selenium, you are prone to develop cancer. Okay, next slide. Essential amino acids. This milk is especially rich in essential amino acids, which have unique roles in human metabolism. Provide substrates for protein synthesis, suppress protein catabolism. You know, when a senior citizen, they develop a condition, what's the name? Sarcopenia. Sarcopenia. They lose muscle mass because their protein quality is incomplete. They need complete essential amino acids. This is for you to understand. Let's talk a little about biological value and protein quality. Okay. Molecular protein, if it is digested completely, will yield amino acid. Complete digestion. In complete digestion, you get peptides. 2 amino acids joined together, that is dipeptide. Okay. 3 amino acids joined together, that is a tripeptide. Like glutathione is a tripeptide. 9 amino acids joined together, an example is insulin. So this is what we call peptides. But complete digestion, you get amino acids. Okay. Broken down into 2 types. Thousands of amino acids broken down into 2 types. 14 of them are non-essential amino acids and 8 are essential amino acids. So what's the big difference? But both essential 8 and non-essential are needed to produce protein, to produce stem cell, to produce enzyme, to produce hormones, to produce antibodies. You need all the amino acids. But what is it? One set, they are called non-essential because the body can copy them. We can synthesize them. What about the 8? They are called essential because we can copy them. Okay, of all the foods created by God, what food has the highest biological value or essential amino acid? If the biological value of the food is high, approaching 100, you have all the essential amino acid, 8, the body can synthesize all the non-essential. So you complete the 22 amino acids needed to produce stem cell, to produce antibodies, enzyme, hormone. Okay? So, what will happen? If the biological value is high, 100, all the proteins will become body protein. So, it can now repair damaged skin, damaged heart, damaged liver, damaged kidney, damaged brain. And you can produce all the antibodies. Antibody for cancer, antibody for Hep B, antibody for HIV, and all in all. If your biological value is 100, and what food has the highest biological value? Raise your hands. Guess. Huh? Egg has the highest biological value. 100. With egg, you can produce all the antibodies for all diseases. You can produce stem cells. But everybody's afraid of egg. Because of cholesterol teaching. If the egg is raw, you have their lactoperoxidase, lysozyme that kills cancer, that kills bacteria. The egg white contains lysozyme that kills cancer and bacteria. The yolk, if it is raw, it contains cysteine amino acid that converts into glutathione. But if the egg is overcooked, the egg white is overcooked, the lysozyme is destroyed. If the yolk is overcooked, its capacity to convert into glutathione is gone with the wind. By the way, whey milk, its glutathione potential is 100. So because it's very high in cysteine amino acid, it can convert into tripeptide glutathione. Okay? Egg yolk, its glutathione potential is also 100. It's the same. So if you eat a lot of egg yolk, you get a beautiful skin. Okay? Glutathione is the most powerful antioxidant. Okay? It prevents damage, it heals damage, it detoxifies the body. That's glutathione. Okay? So I'll continue. Yes?
Egg in raw form.
If you have cancer, I give egg in raw form. If you don't have cancer, half cooked or what we call pinadaan sa apoy. Kumbaga, ito yung apoy, ito yung egg, padaan ko lang. That's great. Half cooked. Okay? Okay? Oh, manasabi. Yes, yes. Okay, no more question? When you talk about protein quality, whether organic or not, they are the same. Okay, even for glutathione, the big difference only for organic and non-organic is the content of I said already, the omega-3 fatty acid is higher and carotenoid is higher. Of all foods, the highest in carotenoid is egg. It has 400 carotenoids. Highest in glutathione, egg yolk. Highest in carotenoid, egg yolk. Highest in biological value, egg. Highest in lecithin, which I will discuss later on, liver, number 1. Next, egg. Liver is 100, egg is 90. Egg yolk again, okay? The word lecithin comes from the Greek word like lecithin, and that in Greek, lecithin means egg yolk. Okay, next, yes?
Is it advisable to take eggs, raw eggs in beer?
Bill?
Beer, yeah. To minimize
The taste. Well, it's up to you. But if you have heart problem,
no hard
the problem is with the beer. Because of the what you call the one that will cause the beer to bubble, no? When it bubbles, Okay, and that can affect your heart. Okay, that is made of yeah. That's the problem with beer. Too much beer, it can weaken the heart. Okay. Foaming agent. What I mean is the foaming agent in the beer is the problem. Okay, next slide. Something like this. A mixture of leucine, isoleucine, and valine, that is branch chain amino acid, BCAA. Lysine and valine resulted in the stimulation of insulin release. So that means milk will help you control diabetes. Okay? It's good for diabetic patients. And reduction in postprandial blood sugar. Conclusion, milk may lower risk of diseases related to insulin resistance syndrome. If you have diabetes type 2, you have what we call insulin resistance. The normal insulin level is only up to 10. With insulin resistance, it will go up to 100, but your insulin is useless. What's the job of insulin? It breaks down sugar. In the presence of insulin, sugar becomes carbon dioxide. It is lost by breathing up, expelled by breathing, exhaling, and then energy, you don't see that, and water. So what remains of sugar is only water. But if you have insulin resistance, your blood sugar will be very, very high. Your insulin is inutile, and you need milk to break down insulin resistance. But you're not drinking milk. Okay. Next slide. Taurine. This is not an essential amino acid. Okay. It's implicated in numerous biological, physiological functions. Bile and acid conjugation and cholestasis. Anti-arrhythmic. So it prevents abnormal rhythm of the heart. Inotropic. It will improve the strength of the heart. If you have what you call weakness of the heart, congestive heart failure, it will improve the muscle of the heart. Chronotropic, it will normalize the rhythm effects. Central nervous system neuromodulation. Retinal development and function is good for the eyes. Endocrine metabolic effects and antioxidant, anti-inflammatory properties. Taurine has endothelial protective effects. So it's good for the endothelium of the blood vessels to prevent damaged blood vessels, coronary. Taurine may function principally as a negative feedback regulator on its own. It is shown to be analgesic. It's good for pain relief, and you find that in milk. Next slide. Oligosaccharides, okay? This will be a trisaccharide up to 6. Can exert prebiotic and anti-infective activities and able to reduce the incidence of rotavirus infection in infants. So you see milk alone, you can prevent a lot of infection, including viral infection. Have a protective effects against allergic manifestation. For example, atopic dermatitis and allergic rhinoconjunctivitis. In high risk infants which extends beyond infancy until 5 years of life. These are drinks and mostly inexpensive artificial flavorings added to make it more appetizing. The higher temperatures used for high temperature UST, pasteurization of extended life products and spray drying can cause browning and isomerization reaction, which may affect product quality and nutritional property. The browning reaction, called the Maillard reaction, occurring between the lactose and protein in milk, can decrease the available content of the amino acid lysine in milk protein. So you lose an amino acid. Pasteurization removes beneficial bacteria from any milk which are helpful to the human body because it inhibits the growth of harmful bacteria and aids in the digestion and absorption of more nutrients. In pasteurized milk, all valuable enzymes are destroyed. Amylase, lactase, galactase, phosphatase, and so on. Synthetic vitamin D, known to be toxic to the liver, is added to replace the natural vitamin D, which is harmless in butterfat. Pasteurization removes antibodies necessary to build a strong immune system to fight infection. These antibodies are not present in processed milk. If you drink unpasteurized milk, you get almost 50 antibodies against cancer, against hepatitis. It's like going to Zamboanga and fighting there. And you are being hit by bullets and you cannot be killed because you are bulletproof. That's the effect of drinking raw milk. The butter part of commercial milk is homogenized, easily subjected to acidity. Even worse, it may be taken out or removed altogether and replaced with polyunsaturated oils like canola, sunflower, corn oil, soy oil, or other vegetable oils which are also toxic and can cause cancer. Pasteurization process completely eliminates or diminishes vitamins and minerals from milk. Vitamin C, D, A, B, E, calcium, phosphorus, iodine. Pasteurization also weakens protein chains and reduces antioxidants in milk like glutathione peroxidase and conjugated linoleic acid. Next slide. Skim milk without the fat has low level of hormone leptin, which is produced mainly by adipocytes, that is involved in the regulation of body fats. Flavored milk is contributing to childhood obesity epidemic in some developed countries, and soy-based formula due to high levels of phytoestrogen is linked to abnormal child development, including damage to babies' thyroid glands. Formula-fed babies exhibited more diet-associated medical problems such as scurvy, bleeding, rickets, poor bones, and bacterial infections than breastfed babies. Formula milks derived from other sources like soy have lower total choline concentration than human milk, and also lack other important nutrients, long-chain polyunsaturated fatty acids, omega-3, cell-sated oligosaccharides, thyroid-stimulating hormone, neurotensins, nerve growth factors, and the enzymes lysozyme and peroxidase. Disadvantages again of processed milk presents a danger, a greater risk of allergic reaction to people as opposed to raw milk because of altered milk composition. Commercial milk powders are reported to contain oxysterol. What are they? Oxidized cholesterol, suspected of being initiators of atherosclerotic plaque. High intake of low-fat dairy products may increase the risk of anovulatory infertility, whereas intake of high-fat dairy foods may decrease this risk. Okay, last few slides na lang. Wala na tayong break, tuloy na lang. O gusto niyo mag-break pa?
The dosage, how much milk can you take?
How much milk?
Dosage.
Well, the Lord said, so that you may live on the land that I'm going to give you to possess, a land flowing with milk and honey. One of the longest living person in the world, he drank unpasteurized milk 1 gallon a day. He lived up to 119. Ginawa niya ng tubig ang gatas. More or less, I drink 1 liter of unpasteurized milk a day. Plus, for coffee, I can use unpasteurized or whey milk. I use that. I use both. Okay? Ito na. That's a topic already. Are we going to have a break or continue na?
Butter, uncle butter, or queen.
You know, the Maasai, they eat 1.5 pounds. Yung pang isang ganung butter, wala mo 1 pound yun eh. Half pound lang yun, yes? I mean, ganun karaming butter again. We use that for cooking. We don't use cooking oil anymore. We use butter, but we use also, gatanan yung ginataan. But we use butter for cooking. Yes? You can eat raw liver if you like, but because it's hard to eat raw liver, I tell my patients to use garlic and sliced garlic and luya, ginger, and cook that with butter and salt. Any question?
Butter and salt. Liver. Luya.
We have only a few slides remaining. So what do I mean by few? Okay, so let's continue so we can be dismissed. Mukhang maghapon na kami dalawa ni G. But don't worry, it's only for 10. Can I continue? Isaiah 7, verse 14 to 15. Therefore, the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. What does that mean? What is the meaning of the word Emmanuel?
God is with us.
God is with us. And who is Emmanuel in the New Testament?
Jesus.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Curds and honey he shall eat, that he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good. So that means the Lord is drinking curdled milk at birth and honey. Okay, next slide. Proverbs 23, 13 to 14. My son, eat honey because it is good, and the honeycomb which is sweet to your taste. So shall the knowledge of wisdom be to your soul. The Jews advocated honey as a producer of wit and intellect. It was supposed to make one mentally keen. If you have a hearing, okay? No. Honey is the best. Kung meron kang hearing sa lawyer ka, lawyer. May kaso ka, you eat honey. Within 5 minutes, honey is already an energy for the brain. If you eat sugar, it will take time. It has to be digested. Honey is already pre-digested. It goes without any digestion. I use 2 tablespoons. For my coffee, brewed coffee, I use 3 tablespoons of wild honey plus half of milk. If 1 cup of coffee, 1 cup of milk also. Plus 3 tablespoons of honey. Okay. In ancient therapeutic, honey is remedy for all diseases, according to Muhammad. All. That's why milk and honey are good for all diseases. But the honey must be wild. Okay. Honey was abundant in ancient Canaan, that the Lord God referred to as the land flowing with milk and honey, the Hebrews' promised land. The Egyptian papyri are full of praise about the curative properties of honey. The papyrus ever especially praised its medicinal value. According to this most ancient source of knowledge, honey was not only a staple commodity but a popular medicine, extensively used internally and also externally. If you have just pain, if you have skin disease and so on, use honey, it will disappear. Kung meron kayong viral diseases, use honey, it will disappear. If you have bed sores, put honey, it will disappear. It will heal. Okay? In ancient therapeutics, milk and honey was the choice for infant feeding. That's the best. Hindi po yung pediatric formula. For infant feeding, milk and honey, breast milk. Most of the medicines in ancient Egypt contained honey. Surgical dressings for burns, ulcers, and preventively for weakness and inflammation of the eyes. Even laxatives and warm remedies without exception contain honey. If you have problem in your eyes, honey is the best. I put that in my eyes every day. Before I use eyeglass, now I don't use eyeglass anymore. You like the formula? I'm using salt without iodine. What I'm using is salt of the earth. Salt of the earth, sea salt. It's called salt of the earth. In Tagalog, it's called pang-asinan. Galing sa pang-asinan. Kasi ang tubig doon is very clean, very clear. So I use salt without iodine. So how do I use that? 1 glass of water, 1 teaspoon of salt. You boil that, that is also already the salt solution that you are buying inexpensive sodium chloride drops. Okay? So you can put that in your eyes. Now, from that salt solution, you mix 50-50. 50% salt solution, 50% honey. Kumbaga, 5 tablespoons of salt solution, 5 tablespoons of honey. So you get honey salt solution, okay? You use that as eye drop for the nose, especially for those with cancer nose, and for those with purulent otitis media. Very, very powerful. No need of antibiotic. You just clean that with salt solution, drain, and then put salt and honey 3 times a day. In less than 1 week, it is healed completely, otitis media. Nasal infection is very fast. Eye infection, I don't use any drugs. I use that only for all condition. For acne also. Okay, you like acne? You get virgin coconut oil, VCO. put there 15 capsules of vitamin E. Squeeze 15 capsules in 100 cc of virgin BCO. Then apply half, apply that to your skin every morning. For the skin, to prevent acne, to stretch your skin, to remove scars and everything. You can apply that to other parts of the skin wherever there are not. Okay? So let's proceed to our honey. So if you're an infant, you need breast milk and honey. Okay. Now, I read again, most of the medicine in the ancient Greek contained honey, surgical dressings for burns, ulcers, and preeminently for weakness and inflammation of the eyes. Even laxative and warm remedies without exception contain honey. Okay. Honey is widely used to its sedative and soporific power, and as diuretic. It was a favored remedy for all kinds of inflammation of the kidneys and for stones. Honey is the best. Stones, kidney stones. Diuretics, those are good. And cough. If you have cough, you take honey. The next day it's okay already. Usually that's what I found in infants. They are coughing, give them honey. The next day they're okay. Or you can mix honey with calamansi juice. And the next day they're okay. No need for cough syrup. Okay, na? According to taste. Okay? Antiseptic. Okay? It prevents infection. Property of honey made it a desirable gargle. So if you gargle, you don't need to use chemical gargles. It will destroy your good bacteria. It does not affect the good bacteria. And it's a valuable adjunct in mouth hygiene. If you take honey, your breath will be sweet. Okay. In inflammation of the eyes and eyelids, honey was extensively used. Attic honey from Greece, Athens. Attic honey had a special reputation as a curative substance for eye disorder. That's why I began. I only use salt solution and honey salt for my eyes ever since, and my eyes became sharper. And of course, I'm following my diet. Okay, but when I'm already 67 years old. When I was 40 years old, I had eyeglass. The grade of my eyes is 300. Now I can read without eyeglass. God gave me back everything. So that's why I'm ready. And there is one thing that God has given me. Wherever I go, there is no typhoon. If I will come to Manila, the typhoon will disappear. If I will go to Tagupan, the typhoon there will disappear. I've witnessed that for several years already. Now I realize the protection of God to me.
Amen.
Because when I was young, I remember Typhoon Yulin. When it hit Manila, it's worse. You see all the glasses falling. And I was there, I was a student, and all the glasses falling from the building. And when I was driving at EDSA, I saw rooftops from Makati on EDSA. That is Typhoon Yulin. Now it's Typhoon Yolanda, the same Yulin. So you see how they do. And I found out, I don't know wherever I go, the typhoon disappears. One time I had a Bible study in our house, and I was about 50 kilometers away, and I was hit by the strong, very, very strong typhoon. I could hardly drive. Then I prayed to the Lord, Lord, I'm going to conduct a Bible study, and there's a strong typhoon on the way. How can I conduct this Bible study? When I arrived home, no more wind, and the moon was there.
Come on.
So I said, God has spared me from typhoon. And I didn't know how serious is the typhoon until I heard what happened. I was talking to Miss Myra, an object over there, and they told me the serious thing that happened in areas hit by Yolanda. A lot of people are being drowned. They're being removed from their houses. And many people from ABS-CBN and China banks and so on, and they disappeared. Until now, they are still looking for them. So whenever I tell my children, wherever I go, the typhoon is no longer there.
Amen.
So God has protected me
Amen.
always. And that's why whenever you can hear me every Sunday, I sing at DCBB. I honor God in singing. Every Sunday in the city, you can hear my voice with Dr. John Mandel. Okay. Okay, let's proceed. In implementation, guys, okay, the ancient Hindus had great faith in the medicinal properties of honey, especially of aged honey, that they use it mainly for coughs, pulmonary troubles, gastric, and bilious disorder. If you have problem with nauseated and so on, you take honey, it will disappear. Very, very, 2 tablespoons of honey, or you can mix that with milk. For ulcer, the best is milk and honey. For ulcer, have you heard about milk is bad for ulcer? But you have that before, right? I was talking to a gastroenterologist. They told me, Robin, whenever I lecture, I tell my students that milk is bad for ulcer. Because that is the standard procedure. Because if I lecture otherwise, I will lose my job. I might even lose my license. But during the clinics, I give them honey. Milk, I give them milk, and they got that. But I can never do that. He will say different things in front of the students and do a different thing just to save himself. Me, I will speak the truth regardless of what happens to me.
Amen.
That's why 2010, I was called by the PMA to revoke my license. And the case against me was egg, milk, honey, and bone marrow. I answered that. 2011, again, I was called by the PMA, Ethics Committee, together with the already PRC, Professional Regulation Commission Board, ready to revoke my license. My son, an attorney, was there, but he was not allowed to speak. My son, John, a doctor, he was not allowed to speak. My wife, Dr. Alice, they were not allowed to speak. I have no attorney, but my cell phone was very busy connected to the Lord. Lord, Lord, I am helpless. Deliver me. And then after the interview was over, after several hours, the PRC board says, we don't find anything wrong with Dr. Navarro. Hippocrates says that would be medicine. He's just giving egg and so on. Maybe it's more than what we are giving right now. But he has good results. So from then on, I was released from this. Yun ang aking Yolanda typhoon in my life. That was the biggest typhoon. I will lose my license, right? And after that, Cardinal Santos is now following me. They are now giving 6 eggs a day.
Wow.
So the case is gone with the wind. Thank the Lord. Okay? Okay. Charles Butler wrote in the History of Bees, 1620, that honey clears all obstruction in the body, purges body odor, and provokes urination. It also improves eyesight, appetite, and cleanses the blood. Yeah, improves my eyesight. Most of all, it preserves natural heat and prolongs life. According to the writings of Dioscorides, honey was best for weak and old people. Those sa mga senior citizen. You need honey. Okay. For old people, he advocated the inhaling of honey for coughs and its internal use as a good diuretic, and may also help those who were poisoned by opium, mushroom poisoning, even bitten by snakes and mad dogs. I was talking to a farmer. He was bitten by a snake. He told me he applied honey. He never, nothing more. And the snake is venomous. And nothing happened. Okay, so that's something in honey that really controls venom. In antiquity and all through the Middle Ages, honey was an important medicine. With the advent of the millions of patented and well-advertised pharmacological drugs, honey almost vanished as a curative substance. Why? Because everybody turned to drugs. The same fate which is suffered as a sweetener. Honey was there as sugar before, when refined sugar was introduced. Nobody is using honey anymore, except me and my family. We are using honey 100%. And we have the best, the healthiest children, the brightest in the world. Okay? On the European continent, where physicians are paid for keeping patients in good health, honey is freely used. It is time that American physicians should do likewise and obviate the possibility of a rather embarrassing accusation that instead of preventing disease, they prevent health by giving drugs. Next slide. Among the Asiatic races, including the Chinese and the Hindu, and among the Egyptians, Arabs, and the African tribes, honey is still considered an excellent protective food and a sovereign internal and external remedy. For respiratory troubles, honey is often mixed with anise, pepper, horseradish, ginger, mustard, and garlic. A glassful of warm milk with a tablespoon of honey is used for bronchitis and debilitated condition. Goat's milk, I think the question there, or buttermilk and honey is a favored and popular remedy for tuberculosis. You can kill tuberculosis bacteria by being exposed to sunshine because you get vitamin D. Vitamin D, milk and honey will kill tuberculosis. Daily consumption of honey raises blood levels of protective antioxidant compounds in human. Phytonutrients found both in honey and propolis have been shown to possess cancer-preventing and anti-tumor properties. These substances include caffeine and methyl caffeine, phenylethyl caffeine, and phenylethyl dimethyl caffeine. That's why I give brewed coffee to all my patients. I told them, drink brewed coffee with milk and honey, saan? Sa likod ng mga bituin. Saan yun? Where's that? Brewed coffee sa likod ng mga bituin. Where's that? Starbucks. In modern therapeutics, as treatment and dressing for wounds and burns, antibacterial and immune enhancer, anti-inflammatory, promotes blood sugar control, and more effective cough suppressant. I told obstetricians after operating, you apply honey in the operative wound and the healing is very fast. Okay. Raises blood levels of protective antioxidant compounds in humans, boosts immunity, improves quality of life, enhances sports performance. So maganda siya sa laban ni Manny Pacquiao. Antibiotic-resistant isolates of several common bacteria. E. coli, including Staphylococcus aureus, were killed within 24 hours after incubation with raw wild honey. Even methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, very resistant for all antibiotics, are cured by honey. You don't need drugs. Honey is beneficial to those with gastric catarrh, hyperacidity, gastric and duodenal ulcers, and gallbladder disease. That is infantile gastroenteritis. British Medical Journal, okay? Next. Common misconception. Honey that is regulated or had crystallized is a proof that adulteration with sugar water. Wrong. The truth is honey is a supersaturated sugar solution and can granulate whether or not it has been adulterated. Just like one of the best known honey from Australia, Manuka honey. Galing pa sa poultry of Manuka. So crystallization is normal, especially in temperate climates. Furthermore, some honey from certain floral sources, flower is especially prone to crystallization, depending upon the source. Next. A spoonful a day keeps the doctor away. That's honey. Don't forget your daily dose of honey. Organic, raw, unadulterated, wild honey. Conclusion. Elixir of life. Milk and honey combination acts not only on the skin, but also on the entire body by making it agile and youthful. People in many ancient civilizations, including Greeks, Romans, Egyptians, and Indians, drank milk and honey to preserve their youth. Since milk and honey ensure long life, the combination was known as the elixir of life. Elixir of life is what's that fountain of youth. So, that's all. Milk and honey. It has been a pleasure serving you. Thank God for Hindi to na kayo nung naggatas sa akin.
person.
Lack or apprehensive on the use of honey for those patients with diabetes.
Very good. Honey does not require insulin. It is already pre-digested. So it does not need insulin to be digested. Okay? And honey contains, the sugar of honey is, sugar is dextrorotatory. Honey is levorotatory. So it does not require insulin and it can be utilized in the absence of insulin. So it will not compromise the diabetic patient. Actually, honey prevents low blood sugar coma. If you get too much insulin, you become comatose, honey prevents that. And honey prevents high blood sugar coma. You become comatose when your blood sugar is high because you cannot chew sugar, so you become comatose. Honey prevents coma. Because honey can be utilized in the absence of insulin. Okay, Doctora? Yes?
Is cocoa high antioxidant?
Cocoa. Yeah, sugar. Chocolate. Yes, chocolate contains antioxidant resveratrol, that is anti-inflammatory. And chocolate contains also oxalate, which is anti-cancer. Yes. If you like its anti-cancer effect, you must use the dark cacao because it does not contain sugar. Dark cacao. Any question more? Wala na po ba? Galing sa poultry? Manuka wild honey. Sounds like poultry, manuka. That's from Australia. Yes, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
Can you comment on the use of this creamer?
What's that? Creamer is not milk. It is corn. Corn creamer. The best milk. I carry with me honey always and a little salt. Why? Because in case of accident and you are losing blood, immediately you drink all this. Drink a little salt and drink water and you will survive the accident. Without it, you will die in the car. So always carry honey, water, and what the salt that you should use is salt of the earth, Pangasinan. Pangasinan, okay? No. I have a container for salt, this one. So I bring salt, I bring honey, and water in my car. Okay? In case of accident, you have this, you can survive the accident. Any more question? Wala na po. Yes.
Doctor, how can you determine the raw honey from the cultured honey?
If the honey is found in my clinic, it is raw. Well, the way to know that is, it bubbles when shaken. So, yung raw honey, raw wild, the theme song is Tiny Bubbles in Hawaii. And shake it, baby shake. After shaking, it will have bubbles, that is raw wild honey. Unpasteurized milk? It's only available in my clinic.
Yes, that's good.
In my clinic, because I got that from distributors of this pasteurized milk that they supply SM and so on. But when they deliver that to me, they remove the label because when the government learns that they are supplying me unpasteurized milk, the government will close their because there is a law throughout the world that pasteurized milk is better than unpasteurized. Now, what about infection? Just to know. So they try now because sometimes an infection can happen, right? So this is the research. I read this. They tried unpasteurized raw milk on inmates, mga kulungan, okay? So they gave them unpasteurized. They did not clean the udder. They harvest that even with the very, very dirty udder, even with the excreta of the animals. So the milk smells bad. And they gave that to all inmates. No epidemic. Because there are good bacteria in the milk that will neutralize the bad bacteria. So don't worry about that. Okay? Wala nang tanong? Yes?
And just to share something, about 3 weeks ago, I was in Angeles City. There was a doctor, a pediatrician, whose child, 12-year old, is autistic. And when she heard about raw milk, I guess it is from you, she started giving raw milk to her child. You know what? No signs of autism. And then she gave again canned milk. Bumalik. So, talagang maganda po talaga yung raw milk. But the problem is, as the doctor had told us, bawal magbenta ng raw milk. In fact, I even read with Dr. Mercola that there was a farmer, a ranch owner in the USA, when he drank raw milk, he was put into prison.
Wow. That's very serious law about this. That's why when we were in Australia, raw milk is still bad to drink. So I had to find raw milk, and they are selling raw milk there. But it's not for drinking. It says there, it's only good for taking a bath for your skin, not for drinking. So what I did, whenever I drink the raw milk, I go to the comfort room, I take a bath, and while taking a bath, I will drink the raw milk. So I did not violate the law. Okay, throughout the world, including the Philippines, raw milk is bad because they do not know the truth. That's why Mahatma Gandhi says, even though you are alone, you are a minority of one, you must speak the truth. The Lord Jesus Christ is behind me. I cannot tell a lie. I cannot tell you that milk is bad, honey is bad, and give that to my patient because I know it's good. I cannot do that. I must speak the truth, even though I lose my license. I'm willing to face anything just for the truth. Because behind me is the way, the truth, and the life. Okay? Yes, and more.
How about hyperthyroidism, sir?
Hyperthyroidism. Thyroid hormones, estrogen hormones, and other hormones, if you have a normal liver, they are removed by the liver. But when the liver fails, hormones can increase. If you have liver failure, okay, you will find effect of estrogenic hormones. The pump becomes very big and so on. And you can get also hyperthyroid. Now, you need choline to improve liver function. If you improve the liver function, then the liver can take care and get rid of excess hormones, excess estrogen, excess hormone. Because excess estrogen could create problem here. But you can see the problem with liver damage. So they are getting estrogenic effects, even the breast will enlarge and so on. And you have medusa, kaput medusa here, that is estrogenic effect. And you have your pump, pink pump. All of these are because of liver failure. And that can also happen. With liver damage, excess insulin can happen, and you will have blood sugar problems. Okay? Blood sugar will fall. Okay? So if you have liver problem, you need a lot of honey. Milk is also good to normalize liver. Okay, any question more? Wala na po. So I think it's okay. So I'll pass the control to the...
Thank you, Dr. Robin Navarro. Are we blessed today?
Yes, we are.
Yes, I'm sure we are after hearing Dr. Robin Navarro and his son, Dr. John, in enlightening us about their wisdom in practicing medicine. Dr. Robin Navarro, who was considered by many to be on the cutting edge of treating debilitating diseases such as heart ailments and cancer, has truly earned his reputation to be called a miracle doctor. Thank you, Dr. Navarro, for being with us. And also to acknowledge his presence and to show our gratitude this afternoon. May I call on our Vice President, Dr. Deliaco, and Manny Kyok together to present this plaque of appreciation to Dr. Navarro.
The Philippine College for the Advancement in Medicine Foundation, Incorporated, BCOM, would like to award the Certificate of Appreciation to Dr. Robin B. Navarro for being a resource speaker on the miracles of milk and honey, the 12th annual conference program on the power of natural healing, held at RAL Room, Club Filipino, on November 12, 2013, Green Hills, San Juan City, Philippines.
Likewise, we would like to present this certificate of appreciation to Dr. John Manuel Navarro for being a resource speaker in the workshop on enhancing the immune system on the 12th annual conference program on the power of natural healing, held at the Golden Room, Club Filipino, today, November 12,